Killed.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Difficult Terrain. I am Putty. I'm joined as always by the spider killer himself, Marshall Peterson. How are you doing?
Its blood is in my hands. Yes, I did just deal with a spider scenario. I would give myself a. We were talking a little bit about this before. I would give myself like a low arachnophobic rating. I don't think I even have close to what would be considered a phobia. But I was saying, like, there are certain spiders that I don't mind because they're little and they just hang out in the corners of a room. And honestly, I don't give a fuck. If you're in a corner, then what am I? I'm not living in that corner. I mean, I don't go into the upper corners of my rooms.
And flies suck.
And flies suck. So they like, yeah, absolutely. But then there's like the jumping spiders, and they are on the move. They don't even use webs. They just like explore freely, like hunters. And that's what this one was. I don't fuck with those because it's like you're in parts of the room that I do use. I don't even know if you are effectively killing flies. I've never seen you kill one. You know, it's like I don't know what you're eating, but anyway. So yeah. Anyway, but that is that. And I'm doing well. 2 weeks ago, did I announce this the last time we played? That I passed my prelims?
I think you were going to do it, or were you back last time? I don't remember. But tell them anyway. Remember.
But I passed my prelims. I don't know.
Good job.
I might have announced that last time, but and I've now been dealing with I have like kind of very rough. It's very rough because it's not a real deadline. It's not like a hard administrative deadline, but I have a rough deadline of by like January, December, having a rough idea of what my dissertation is going to be. So right now I'm just like reading, and then like an enormous amount, more than I usually do. And so yeah, but it's relaxing. It's good work. It's better than digging trenches. I'll say that.
True. Speaking of digging trenches, can you sum up this campaign in a couple of sentences?
Why is it? What's the connection?
One of your companions, Billy, is quite good at digging trenches.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I buy that. So Admand is the leader of this expedition, and this expedition is on its way to the Stone Tooth. I'm looking at the picture on the map, which we believe is the location of Kundrakar, although we will find out more once we get to Blasingdell. I think we'll want to review our data with the locals there. And at Kundrakar, we will find many things, perhaps gold, perhaps silver, perhaps gems. But we are going there only as a way, perhaps spiders, hundreds and hundreds of spiders.
It's possible.
But we've already encountered spiders in the game, actually, giant ones. Now those you definitely want to kill. Although we didn't, we left them. So that, to be fair,
don't do as I say, not as I do.
Do as I say, not as I do. Like I want other people to hunt down the giant spiders, but I don't want to have to deal with it.
That's fair.
That's an animal control kind of situation. But I
feel like that's part of the Lancers of Kelmvor's job description. You know,
it is weird that they fucked up there, but it's right on the path. It's literally on the path. So like. I feel like, honestly, there's going to be a 3-month period where no one other than us gets to the last point of the trail, and they're going to go, I wonder if there's something killing every single person that travels.
Well, in theory, they patrol, right? So they should know about it or find it, maybe.
Unless they're getting carried off by the spider. There were a lot of spiders there.
Yeah.
So unless they're hitting it with force, I think they're like 2 guards or whatever they're sending.
To be fair, at least it was a pretty easy way around. Once you spotted it.
Sure.
Yeah,
but we'll see if the merchants do. But in any event, the point of going to Kundrakar is merely a sting operation. It is I don't think that's the correct phrase, but it's merely there. It's there as a challenge, a test. There you go. That's the right word. A test of our. It's like you didn't know the word test. A test of our strength and our prowess, our ability to prove ourselves as true warriors and heroes. And if we pass this test, then our next goal will be the Fallen Dwarven Hold. A great hold. It's a great hold.
Love it. Best hold.
Best hold. This is going to be the best hold ever, especially once I build my buildings there.
People say it's fallen. It hasn't fallen. It's still there.
It hasn't fallen. And the thing is, I mean, under its current administration, it has gone to shit. People are eating the dogs there. They're eating the cats.
But you can make it great again.
You can. But yeah. So we want to go there to Mithril Hall, this great fallen dwarven hold that fell in the last war that has covered this land in the second darkness. Or maybe it's not clear to me if the war did or something unrelated to the war covered the land in the second darkness. Has that been confirmed to me? Because it seems like they're strongly correlated, but it was never clear that they're the same thing. If that makes sense.
You can roll a history check if you'd like. Let's kick off this week's session.
I assume some of your players know, because it seems like they were directly involved in failing to stop this, and that's why I have to have torches everywhere.
I can pass on your complaints if you'd like.
Yeah,
it's not for lack of trying. They did spend over 2 years in 2 separate campaigns.
They tried. They were just incompetent. It seems. I
There's a lot of infighting in both of those parties, you know.
Wait, were they really?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, like bad infighting, like TP or what is it? PvP?
PvP. No, not for those campaigns. They never resorted to PvP. Oh wait, no, there was a little bit of PvP. Kind of. Not PvP, but like one of the party members got one of the other party members arrested.
What is your take on PvP? Because I know I tend to be very uncomfortable with it as a GM, but I have met some GMs that they're like the Wild West. They're like, fuck it, I don't care, kill each other, it doesn't bother me. What's your take on it?
It is difficult to navigate through, but I will admit that I find party tension to be incredibly interesting, and I am guilty of stoking it.
I do find party tension to be interesting. My problem is I rarely find players that I think are out of game emotionally mature enough to do that without things out of game getting really intense.
I had a really good party who I think were just about able to handle it, but even then I think sometimes it went a bit too much. Yeah, for sure. I agree.
And I that's the main, like, I don't actually have any principled reason why it wouldn't be a part of a story we're telling. Even like things like betrayal, I don't have a principled reason why that would not be a part of a story I'm telling. But in practice, it's really hard to execute in a way where your players don't quit or hate each other or start throwing trash at you or I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
And things. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So you said history.
Yeah, I think so.
9.
I think all of the things you've already said are reasonable, but I'm not going to give you anything more. So you know that there is some sort of correlation, that they happened around the same time, but you don't have any real detail about it.
Okay. Maybe Admand will ask the people in Blastingdale. I doubt they know. Often the people in the storm have trouble mapping its contours, but
yeah. Also, they're at the very edge of the political and geographical region of the darkness.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, so, well, maybe they have heard interesting information then. I don't know. But no, they probably... I'm guessing the main people that know are either dead or orcs. That's going to be my guess. But maybe if we find some orcs, we can ask them. Or you know who I should have asked? The Lancers. They probably actually do. They probably do. The leader, he fought in the war. He said, not sure if I believe him. He survived, you know. So did he really fight? He pops out of a hole and smacks me. Yeah,
with his giant warhammer that may or may not be magical.
Dude, that thing's definitely fucking magical. And
it's got a skull on it.
It's got a skull on it. They don't just add those at the Warhammer show.
No.
When you go to they might at the
that war. Yeah, I know what you mean.
At the Games Workshop
LGS
store.
Yeah.
They might give you a skull there, but at the blacksmith, I don't think they add skulls to weapons just randomly. That seems like sorcery.
I mean, if you asked for it and you paid enough.
It's like, well, I don't have any skulls, but my helper boy's got a good strong skull.
It's worth mentioning. I think, unfortunately, I may be about to undermine the power of this Warhammer for you, because it wasn't a real skull. It was a skull enamel. It was metal. Yeah.
It was part of the.
It was part of the design of the Warhammer, as were the skulls on his pauldrons. They weren't like real skulls.
Yeah, and the fact that there's also skulls on the pauldrons. Now it really seems like he actually did go to the blacksmith and was like, I want skulls everywhere. And the armor smith was like, all right. And then his friend, the weaponsmith, was like, okay, that's something I was...
Oh, you're the skull guy.
You're the skull guy. I heard about you. My cousin said that you like skulls on things. Did he have a... You know what would be a good place for a skull is on a belt buckle. Like to have a big skull... Like right above your crotch, very phallic.
Yeah, well.
It screams to the ladies, I'm dead down there.
Or deadly.
Or deadly.
2 letters, change a lot.
Yeah.
I want to point attention, since we're on the overlay, to the fixed Admand stats over there. It's just, some numbers have been changed. It's that way for you.
This way?
No, that way. I guess I'm mirrored, or you're mirrored, or something, because you're pointing the opposite direction.
This way?
Slightly further up. There we go. Perfect. That was worth it.
That was worth it. Because they wouldn't know if I hadn't. We know both made the point. Yeah. There could be confusion. Our audience could be of the correct age for like a children's television show where that kind of direction is required.
I hope not. I'd like to state at this record that this content isn't for children of that age.
This is not a family-friendly
If
show.
you're under, 14, get a guardian to watch with you.
Although some sort of eddy, we talked about this, some sort of eddy or ripple in the algorithm may have brought many 14-year-olds to one of the videos. I don't know.
Yeah, and I immediately what the fuck is this? And left.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Is there anything you would like to do before you leave Lurk Watch? Because I think that's where we left off last time.
Well, I guess I'll... Actually, fuck, I forgot we were still at Lurk Watch. I'll ask the guy.
Oh, yeah.
I will. I will ask Skullman McScully. Maybe at some point I get a beer. Oh, wait. They don't have... Do they have beer here?
No.
Son of a bitch. God. Do you imagine just being in the middle of the woods? There's absolutely nothing to do, and they don't have alcohol? Just kill me. What is going on? I guess I just described regular camping. Which I actually do enjoy that, but everything in moderation.
Also, I feel like these woods, these are not nice woods.
No, this is not camping.
Not really.
Although, would you want to camp for fun anywhere in a D&D world, anywhere in the Forgotten Realms, when it's one random encounter chart could bring you to your... I guess there are, in theory, right, some parts of this world that are
fairly safe
and don't have wandering owlbears.
Yeah, there are some grand kingdoms and the like that have sort of a king's wood that is, private and for the monarchy and is very safe.
Because I think you've told me this before. The idea of the Swords Coast is that actually it's
the frontier.
It's the frontier, and there are these settled empires elsewhere on the map, on the world map, that they don't have as much adventure in them. They run things a little more smoothly. They're these massive Roman Empire type institutions, and they keep the roads safe and this sort of thing. But yeah, so I think maybe if you were camping in one of those places, who knows? Anyway, I think I'm going to go to Mick Scully. What is his actual name? I don't know if I wrote it down.
Captain Uth. Hold on, let me check.
Uth?
It's Uth something. Uther or Uthgard? Hold on.
Uther Pendragon.
It's Uthred. Yeah, Uthred.
Oh. That's a good name.
Thanks. His mother gave it to him, presumably. And
I walk up and I say, "Do you have a mom?"
And you're gonna ask him basically if the darkness and the war is connected. Is that right?
Yes. I'm gonna ask him. I bring something like a drink or soup to share with him while he's on watch, as a kind of token, and then I will sort of talk to him a little bit if he's willing. I basically, I don't know if you want to roleplay it, but I just tell him that
I think we can paraphrase this. Yeah.
Okay, so I just tell him that since I'm in this land. I was curious what his knowledge of the actual events that created this darkness were. Was it, I always assumed it had something to do with the war, but I've heard things recently that make me think that maybe the two events are not the same, that they might be linked, but not the exact same event. And I was wondering, what he knows of what caused this.
He tells you that the darkness preceded the war by a few months. First, the darkness came and spread across the land, and then the orcs began coming down from the mountains and invading the lands. And then it quickly became evident that the orcs had forged this unholy alliance between numerous different creatures and races. And evidently, it was the coming of the darkness made the conditions right for this invasion to occur. And so many have sort of theorized that the orcs or their allies brought about this darkness, but the exact nature of it is unknown, at least to Uthred.
Gotcha. So it could be that they created some sort of darkness bomb, or it could be that it's it's just a fantastical, divine, or magical event that the orcs took advantage of, that they saw an opportunity and they grabbed it. Intriguing. Although I will say 4 months is a hell of a turnaround to organize like an entire invasion, so that does seem suspicious. That does seem like they had some heads up. All right. Well, hey, that's life. I tell him that's life. I pat him on the back. I tell him his skulls are cool. I got them especially from a skull guy.
Skullsmith.
Skullsmith works exclusively with skulls. And after that, I head back to my party.
Cool.
Having gained knowledge, having been wizened. And I think I can't think of much else to do in Lurkwatch. I mean, I've met the main guy here. Yeah. Were there any other interesting characters that maybe would have drawn my attention? Probably not.
Not really. I think you talked to a few people about Owlbear's last session. I think you had a little bit of a lay of the land, but otherwise nobody, unless you're looking for something in particular, would have stood out to you.
Yeah. Good. I would ask, I've already asked this to someone, but I will confirm while I'm talking with Uthred, whether he thinks, basically, is it still the case that if you see orcs out there, they're likely going to attack you? Like, I should assume that they are not just passing by.
Uthred's view is yes. Uthred would tell you to expect them to be aggressive.
Of course. This is the leader of the death to our enemies faction, so
who have been primarily fighting orcs for 6 years now.
So of course the orcs would attack him on sight.
That is also true, yeah.
Would they attack me on sight is another question. Especially if we push my orc out. My half orc is
your token.
Yeah. Oh, look, we got a guy.
Some of my best friends are orcs.
Some of my best friends are orcs. Wait, actually, this is something that hasn't come up. Do the Lancers or any of the people here, do they give Kratz trouble while he's here, or do they treat him with dignity and respect?
I don't think you would have noticed any difference in his treatment to yours.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I'm looking out for my guy. He's honestly probably just a single thread away from having a mental breakdown after rolling poorly so many times. Although recently he did roll well once.
He killed that snake.
He did kill that snake. He's probably feeling great right
He got bonus XP for that.
He did, and he's now a piercer.
I'm
very excited about this.
Oh, did I put in those text, or did I forget?
You did.
I did? Oh my god, look at me.
I know. That is actually really impressive.
I completely forgot, but I guess at one point I didn't completely forget.
That is the kind of thing that I would completely forget, so I think the fact that some part of you remembered is a really solid job. But yeah, it's... yeah, he can re-roll attacks, damage dice, using the new roll, and when he scores a critical hit, he can roll 1 additional damage die. This is, like, insane, really. Like, when he crits, I think he's going to instantly kill an ancient dragon, at least.
At least one ancient dragon, yeah.
At least. If not, you know, going through the neck of one ancient dragon and into the neck of, like, a second adult dragon.
Adult dragon, at least, yeah.
And then that goes through him and into a young dragon, and it kills, like, a whole family in one shot.
Wow. Congrats, Dragon Slayer.
Dragon Slayer. Yes. But totally distracted by that imagery. I can't think of much else that we need to do here. If any of the companions felt that they needed to do anything, obviously they should always feel free to tell me. But I think after the week of level up, and after everyone is sort of powered up and juiced up, and everyone's just like roiling with energy and hate, I think that we are going to begin heading towards Blasingdale. And I think that actually the last thing I would ask is if anyone here has a map of the territory that we could purchase or borrow.
Ooh, that's a good point, and it's yeah. Why don't you roll me a charisma investigation check? So to do that, just click on your charisma, and then if you're proficient in investigation, we'll mentally add +2.
I am not.
Cool. Wow. Okay, so yeah, you can find a member of the Lancers who has a map. He is reluctant to sell it, and it's not particularly advanced. It shows the Lancers Trailway from Mirabar to Settlestone. It does have a little note on there to show where Blasingdale is, but it's no more advanced than this hex map you're looking at, I would say.
If he's reluctant to sell it, would he allow Dorian to try to make a copy of it?
Yeah, sure. I wouldn't see any problem with that.
None of us have cartographer's tools, but I mean, in this case, we're not necessarily creating a map from scratch. We're just sort of trying our best to copy out the look of it.
And then I assume Dorian's going to put that in his spellbook, because that's, as far as I can tell, the only paper he probably has access to. But you tell me if I'm wrong.
I will leave that up to you. I don't have all the things Dorian would have on him. Cool. I only have his adventuring gear. So if you think that's the main, then he could just copy it in his spellbook.
I think so. Finding paper that survives in conditions like this is quite rare. So I think it would be likely that he wouldn't have extras on him. But the spellbook is...
Does the spellbook have?
It's a good question. I think that's in the... That is information we can find.
I want to say 100.
My compendium's so weird today. 100 blank pages. Look at you. There you go. So, Dorian, I think that would be just a flat intelligence check then, if there's no proficiency with things like cartographer's tools or...
My bro's gonna crush it.
Yeah. Yeah. So he scribbles it out. I'm trying to think.
He comes back. Sorry, I just found like 500 berries. What do you need me to do? Oh, copy a map. I've never done that before, but boop, 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 done. Did it perfectly. Fuck you. He flips the table, walks away. I'm worried Dorian's about to become like so inflated in his ego.
Yeah. There is one location on this map that you're unfamiliar with, I think. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, yeah. It is, I'm going to reveal it on the map. Explorable darkness. Polygon reveal. Okay. Down here. Just gonna draw like a asterisk.
There.
Okay. Do you see that?
Yes.
Cool. Down there is a location labeled on this map as the Golden Tomb.
I point to that and I'm like, what's that?
It's some tomb we found out in the forest. It's filled with, it's like filled with these designs on the walls made out of what appears to be gold. But there are some creatures inside. Ghosts. We've been wanting to clear it out, but we haven't had the manpower lately.
I see. I am intrigued by that. Maybe, unless my companions feel strongly, I think maybe that could be the kind of thing we might check out on the way back to... Assuming we survive Kundra Kar, on the way back to Mirabar. We could maybe make a stop there and try to clear it out.
Okay.
Although, fuck man, ghosts are terrifying. Like... Ghosts are absolutely what TPKs are made out of. Like, I do remember that in 5e they have, I mean, my guy doesn't know this, but I believe in 5e ghosts have like an ability to age people that is just horrific. And all sorts of crazy abilities, so ghosts are freaky.
I think, as adventuring parlance, I think it's also worth noting that there are rumors that go around, and you've been around along, that there are some incorporeal undead that are known to drain people of their experience.
I'm fucking with that.
Yeah.
I fuck with that. That is famously unfun to deal with.
Yes, sir. So unfun, they took it out of 5th edition, but not everything I run is from 5th edition.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, no, that's freaky. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I want to deal with that. I think there were at least something like that in 3.5. I don't know if that's where you're getting this from.
I think a lot of the undead I run is from 2nd edition, but I think it stayed in 3.5 as well.
Yeah. I think there were abilities that could at least so I don't know if 3.5 there were abilities that could permanently steal XP, but I know that there were abilities that could temporarily steal levels.
Yes.
So you would be
level
like
drain.
You would have like you'd have a curse where you're like 3 levels lower for like a month or something horrific.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that we are going to keep in mind that that's terrifying. And I think we are going to continue on our way to Blasingdell first thing in the morning with a new little map, and hopefully that can just sort of help facilitate our progress. It might be very similar to perhaps to the map we have on the game, but something just to help. And yeah, I think we'll get started going on the road. We have our lanterns lit. We have I think all the supplies we need still in good order, and I do check to make sure, like, do people have the sense that Blastingdale has supplies that someone could resupply there if they needed to?
Yes, and in fact, since you've been here a while, you would have talked enough to know this, that you're even given reference to a specific establishment there. That if you need to resupply while you're in Blastingdale, you can either check out the market, there's a pretty big market in Blastingdale, or you can specifically go to Tolm's Superior Outfitting and Dry Goods.
My brain rotted for a second, and I thought you were saying that this guy ran a dry cleaner.
Of course.
Holmes dry cleaning. He'll have everything you need.
You ask for the secret supplies in the back.
It's like Mick and Ralph's. They go to take you to the bath. They push a button and a thing flips over. All right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All
right. Before you set off, you might want to take a look at your watch actions and make sure they're all set up the way you'd like. I've done some math on this journey, and I believe as long as you're moving at normal pace, that you will be traveling at about 2.5 miles per watch for about 5 miles per day.
How many miles are a hex?
12.
So we'll be moving 1 hex per
3 days.
A section, like 2.5 for 3 days.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just...
You need 6 miles to get out of this hex, then 12 miles to progress the next hex, and then a couple of miles once you're in the next hex to find Blastingdale. Now, if you don't know where a location is, it might be sometimes it takes a variable amount of time to find it within a hex, but you've been told that Blastingdale has light towers, and so it should be fairly visible.
Presumably you can see those from miles away, because I mean, otherwise they wouldn't be very useful if you could.
Indeed,
you can see them, but only from 100 feet away.
Sightlines can be difficult within the forest, though, so it might be a case of trying only being able to see it when you've got Istria sighting up a tree.
Well, and once the forest is I thought we were at the edge. Actually, now I'm a little confused. I thought Lurkwatch was at the edge of the forest, but now it looks like it's not.
It's not at the edge of the forest. No,
it's not at the edge of the forest.
No.
Do they have an outpost at the edge of the forest, or is this as far as their...
This is as far as their presence goes now, although you did learn last session that they used to go all the way to Mithril Hall. There was a settlement there called Settlestone, but it's not there anymore.
Good to know. Okay. We will...
It's not far from the edge of the forest, for what it's worth. It's only a couple more days, probably.
I like our current thing, scouting regimen. We have, I mean, we did the main change that we needed to, which is that Kratz is the one scouting because he has dark vision. Okay. And I didn't really want Istria to be alone with a torch, drawing attention to herself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the order.
All right.
It also has the advantage that presumably it will be hard for... even if we lose Kratz will probably not lose us because he'll be able to see our light, you know.
Yeah, it'll make it easier for him to find you, yeah, for sure. And for anything else to find you, of course.
That is true.
All right, cool. Why don't we roll our 6d12? I hecking love 6d12 to start off the day. Okay. Cool. All right, let's do our foraging checks. Let's have let me remind myself of your watch sheet here. We have 3 from Dorian, 1 from Kratz, and 1 from Istria. So let's get all those out of the way now. So 3 survival from Dorian, 1 from Kratz, and 1 from Istria.
Here is Dorian's survival. Ooh, that's low rolls for Dorian.
That is low rolls for Dorian.
1 for Kratz. Oh, Kratz!
Hey.
And 1 for history.
Okay. All right, so this is not a great day for the foraging. In total, the only person who brings back food is Kratz, who brings back 2 rations of food.
That's okay. We have, and I'm guessing he takes 1 and gives 1 to someone else.
I think Kratz will just give them both to you, and you could decide what to do with them.
Ah, good Kratz. Very good. A loyal servant.
Yeah.
You think what?
I think I don't know enough to. I assume that I know some of them can be quite dangerous to eat, but I assume there are some bird species that are fairly safe to eat, right?
Which birds are unsafe to eat?
I thought some birds were unsafe to eat because they're common carriers of certain diseases. But
yeah. I mean, I don't know if medieval people would know that though. Maybe. Yeah, like salmonella and certain things. I think as long as you roast that shit, like you really cook it, well cook it. Don't want to do any interesting culinary techniques. Just really boil the shit out of that. Then I think that it's probably safe. And obviously you would want to gut it properly, right? And make sure that it's, but I think in theory, yeah, I think certainly you could eat birds.
Okay. I think that's what Kratz brings back is some nocturnal bird species.
But like I made up all that I just said. So
that makes sense to me. I'm on board with it. Not a problem. Not a problem.
All right, and then Kratzy boy. Yes, found 2 rats. Okay, cool. I am tracking those.
Excellent. Let's do... Let me get this watch tracker up again. Let's start with Istria's navigation check. Now, did she have advantage? I'm going to say no. I'm just going to say no, even if there was some scouting going on. That this is a new journey. You probably didn't scout the previous day, so we'll just go for a regular old nav check here.
Sounds good.
The difficulty of this is a lot higher than it was in the previous part of the journey.
And this is
survival, yeah.
Survival.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Okay.
She trips on her face and falls onto a knife.
Okay, she heads out. Let's get a scouting check, perception from Kratz.
Kratz is on it today.
There you go.
I just had to berate him senselessly for weeks, and he eventually shaped up.
So at the end of the first watch, Kratz is going to come back, and you'll see, I think you'll all be gathered around while he kind of, he lets you know what's up ahead. And he also shows Istria a few things that he learned while he was back in Mirabar about this route. So he picks a nearby herb, like it's almost like a long blade of grass, and it's in a bunch, and he picks it up, and he kind of rubs along the blade as it starts to glow slightly as he touches it, basically. And he says that this species of plant only grows along sort of this mountain range, and so if you try and follow this, you should end up heading north. And then he heads back out to continue scouting. And I'm going to need an advantage survival check from Istria.
Okay. Good advice, Kratz. He's really crushing it. Here we go.
Oh, there we go. She course correct. She realizes that you were veering off a little bit in a different direction. She corrects that. You lose 1 mile of progress today for that poor navigation, but 1 mile of progress out of 5 is actually pretty decent overall. And she gets you back on track. She follows Kratz's advice, and you think you're heading north. Kratz's perception check for his second watch of scouting. Not so great. The forest is dark and full of terrors as Kratz returns to the party, and you begin.
Comes back up. He's like, "I'm spooked."
He does say, like, "Boss, I'm seeing no trails, no paths. There's not a lot of signs of life around here or travel."
What's this dotted line then, Kratz?
No, you're heading north.
Oh, that's right.
All right, cool. You set up camp, you roast it up, deduct the rations that aren't being covered by Kratz's hunting today, the oil that you've used, and then otherwise, I think you can all just get a short rest if you need it. I don't think there's anything else to resolve. I need to close some of my Word documents.
Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
Okay.
Very good. Subtracted the oil, subtracted the rations. We are ready to continue.
Great. Next day then, let's roll 6d12. Oh yeah, we got to roll Kratz's encounters yesterday, but that's fine. We'll let him off.
One of these days, it's just going to be 1-1-1.
That will be an exciting day. That'll be a fun day. That'll be a session, or maybe 2. Okay, cool. And then let's get Istria's siding. Is she going to climb a tree?
Climb a tree.
Excellent. Let's get an athletics check.
Just starts fucking ripping it. Damn it.
She's unable to climb the tree today. She's a little tired, from a little stressed from navigating. Also, the area you're in, the tree branches are kind of flimsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I let her off.
Cool. Let's do our foraging checks then, shall we? It's going to be 3 from Dorian, 1 from Kratz, and 1 from Istria.
Okay, Dorian's back at it.
Nice.
And Kratz is back at it, too.
Not so nice. Okay, so Dorian this time brings back 3 rations, one of which he keeps for himself.
Sounds good.
Cool. And then, once you're done with that, why don't we get let's get our Kratz encounter checks. So, 2d12 for him.
2d12. There we go.
Okay, cool. Then Istria navigation check. Oh, nailing it. Fantastic. She continues to follow this species of plant, and after a couple of hours of travel, you notice the terrain start to shift slightly. You can move 1 hex before I proceed.
Okay, and we just want to move to the northern hex?
I mean, up to you. Really?
Yes, I do. Oh, whoa, I see a label.
Ooh.
Oh shit! We're like right there, dude. This is so exciting. I thought it was gonna take us way longer to get there.
Can you not see the labels in the dark? Like, can you see Lurk Watch still?
I can see Lurk Watch now.
Okay.
Yeah. But I couldn't.
You couldn't see Blasting Dell?
No.
Oh, interesting. I did mean to reveal its location. But oh well, it's not that big of a deal now.
It's been in darkness.
Strange.
I assumed I was gonna have to go fucking hundreds of miles. No, I don't know. But
if you go left, can you still see Kellimvor Point?
Yeah, I can still see it.
You can still see Mirabar?
Yep. Mirabar, Ironwood Hold, Kellimvor Point, the Bromara's Lair, Zarnthal's Keep. Like, I think I can see all the... And I can see all the labels I made, like Spine of the World or the Glade of the Runes.
And you can see the Golden Tomb now.
It wasn't... Blasting Dell, it wasn't like that area was revealed and I couldn't see the name. Just the area was in complete darkness.
Yeah. Interesting. It must... strange. I had it revealed, but I might have used the wrong tool.
We did have... Well, also, when did you reveal it? Because we did have that issue once where you had to, like, reset the map. I don't remember when but...
It's possible. Either way, it doesn't matter. You get there soon anyway, so it's not the big deal at the moment. Yes. Cool. So you move through. You are currently descending a little bit as you travel today. So you're descending into a sort of like, it's not quite a valley, but you're kind of going down a hill. And it's rough going. You're going through underbrush. You're having to sometimes stop and clear, and it's dark, which is treacherous. You pass through a small stream where you can refill water skins if you have them, or fill up Faldor's barrel, because he's got a barrel of water on him.
Yes, we will refill the barrel.
Yep.
That was part of the deal. I'll bring my barrel. But also, with the stream brings good things in terms of having water, but also it's in the dark. It's quite treacherous crossing over these wet rocks. But obviously, you've got your lanterns. It's fine, but you do have to take your time. It's a slow, methodical journey. Cool. That was the first watch, right? Yeah, I believe it was. So let's get the navigation check for these. Oh, have we done scouting? We haven't done scouting. Let's do Kratz's scouting check first. Perception. Perception, here we go. Oh.
Okay. So he comes back. He once again tells you that the forest is dark and full of terrors. And then it's time for Istria's second navigation check of the day.
And the navigation checks are not perception; they're survival.
They're survival, right? Yeah. And if Kratz succeeds, he gets to give her advantage. Okay.
Oh, we're so close. We start heading in the opposite direction again. We're stuck in this hex for years.
Cool. We'll get one more Kratz scouting check.
Hey.
Oh, excellent. All right. So he comes back and he'll give one thing he says is that he notices Istria's been heading in slightly the wrong direction for the latter half of this day. It takes him a little bit longer to find you than usual, maybe like 20-30 minutes, but eventually he comes back to you guys and it's like, you guys are heading in the wrong direction. You need to readjust and restart the path. You have lost a little bit of progress again today, although Istria is not entirely sure how much. She'll have to figure it out when you start going again tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Cool. Okay. Cool. So that is
Okay, 4 more flasks of oil down.
Cool. Make sure you got your rations, and otherwise you're gonna have no encounters, so you can get a short rest if you need it.
All right. I have never consumed this much. I actually love the darkness in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It is obviously a great challenge, but I like that it forces some light management on the game. I do think that's something that's lost in a
it's very classic.
It's very classic. I definitely think it was something that they intended to be a thing in the early dungeons, that in the 70s, the idea was like managing your resources, but perhaps most of all, managing your ability to have light would maybe be so crucial. And I think that in a lot of modern games, that is just not much of an issue at all. I partially would blame things like the light cantrip, which most parties have, or the fact that most races have dark vision.
Yeah.
Those two things combined make light somewhat trivial in a lot of campaigns, but I think having it be a real problem is cool.
One thing I like about it, and it very much ties into what you're saying about the early dungeons, assuming you have to manage your light, is not only like the resource management aspect of it, but also like light has a distance, so you can you never quite know what's just outside of your light range. You know, there's something lurking in the dark. I think that's really cool.
There's these OSR systems that I think have cool ways to do the sort of resource management that don't require the GM or the player to constantly keep track of how much they're using, which in this case is pretty easy, because for me it's just, okay, a day has passed, this is how many flasks I've used. But for certain people, right, they might be annoyed having to be like, has it been an hour? Do I have to get a new torch? So there's these games where the GM will just randomly call for a torch check.
And you roll a dice, and if it rolls a certain amount, it's out.
And if you roll a certain amount, you've run out. You need another torch.
I like those abstract systems too. I think it depends on the player whether they like them or not. Some players are like, I want to know exactly, I want to manage my resources, and that I don't want the randomness there. But if you're trying to create this idea of things are finite, but you don't want to have to deal with the busy work, I definitely think those systems are nice.
And it can create dramatic moments, right? The GM calls for the torch roll right in the middle of a fight with some sort of horrible demon, and oh no, your light's out. You have to spend around lighting a torch, and
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Anyway,
cool. All right, let's start a new day. 60-12, the perfect start to any evening.
11-2-2-4-9-4.
Alrighty.
I don't think we've rolled an encounter yet.
Istria tree climb.
Istria. Little do I know, every 2 that is rolled adds another orc to the final.
Yeah. There is a slightly different encounter system for this section of the journey than when you were on the road, as you might expect.
Oh.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, the numbers that trigger encounters are different?
Slightly different. It's the same sort of philosophy, but there's a slight difference here. Also, the encounter table is completely different.
That makes sense. Okay.
There's a certain type. I'll say there's a certain type of encounter that I've decided doesn't trigger in this region.
Gotcha. Also, Istria's eating shit today.
Yeah. She actually doesn't even try. She's had a not so hard. You guys haven't been getting a ton of rations lately, so I assume she's been eating actual rations. And so she's not feeling great.
She looks forlornly at Kratz to say, like, find me meat.
Dorian's there munching on his berries.
Yeah. It's like, look, Dorian's good, but he only ever finds fucking berries. Get me more birds, Kratz.
You want some more berries, Istria?
Dorian's like one of these exceptional hikers that eats like a small bag of granola, and they're like, that's enough energy to last me for 8 hours.
Oh, my second wind.
Anyway, okay.
Istria navigation check with advantage. This one's important.
Navigation. Here we go. With advantage. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 16.
Nice. Nailed
Decent.
it. That's a success. Well done. All right, cool. You begin traversing through this sort of lowland in the forest. You kind of occasionally you find a lot more streams here, so you are fine for water. You can keep restocking. You can drink from the stream. You can wash, things like that. There's a lot of water in this region. A lot of small streams, ponds, pools, that sort of thing. Wildlife to go with it. You see occasionally these frogs larger than normal, but not nearly as large as the ones you saw the other side of Lurk Watch. Okay, cool. Let's get a scouting check. Yep, let's get Kratz's encounter rolls first. We also forgot to do foraging, so we'll do that after.
Okay, so 2 encounter rolls for Kratz?
That's right. All right. And then the foraging checks, which I believe is 3 for Dorian, 1 for Kratz, and 1 for Istria. Yeah, your journey is very quiet.
Oh, ignore the advantage. Sorry about that.
Yep, that's fine. We'll take the we'll take the left. If she had more than one check, we'd take both, but since she doesn't, we'll just take the left. Okay, good for Dorian as well. So Kratz. Okay,
we should find a bounty.
Kratz brings back a small boar that is sufficient to feed 4 people today.
Dope.
And then Dorian.
Istria eats the whole board.
Dorian brings 3 rations, one of which he keeps for himself. He gives you the other 2.
Huge.
Yeah, really good day for you today.
Did Istria find anything with the 15? No?
No.
Okay. So 7 rations. That is... Howsy wowsy. What does that mean? Okay. What? Okay, cool. We're doing good on supplies. I think, if anything, I'm way over prepared for this journey.
Yeah, well,
although
it's good to be over prepared than under prepared.
It's good to be over prepared, and it's not like Blasting Dell is our last goal. We need to get to the Kuntra car, and so these resources will come in handy, and the return journey. Yes.
Okay, let's get the scouting check from Kratz.
I wasn't even thinking about home. I just assumed we'd keel over once we got to our destination.
That's what usually happens in our campaigns, to be fair.
Here, what kind of check?
Perception.
Survival. Perception.
Yeah, it's the scouting check. Yeah. Oh, Kratz this is the part of the journey Kratz prepared for. Remember, he had all this. Yes. So he knows his shit.
I think there's a moment where Admand. I think in many ways Admand is. He's closest. He's known Istria the longest.
Yeah.
But I think that in many ways he feels a certain sort of kinship with Kratz. Kratz and him have, they met outside the city walls, and they've seen interesting things together, perhaps. And I think that he views him right now. He looks upon him with a sort of pride, like he's like, good job, Kratz. You're doing fantastic.
All right. Well, he returns to the party, and he informs you on what he's found. He says that he actually returns a little late, again, a couple minutes late, and he says that the reason why he's a bit late is because he was following something. He did find a small trail not far from here, but he wanted to follow it for a little bit, and eventually he found a few discarded pieces of equipment, and so he thinks that you should avoid the trail, because he thinks it might have been used by orcs.
Yes. Good. We will stay away from it.
And he does, of course, grant advantage to Istria's navigation check, which I'd like you to roll now.
Oh my god!
Killing it.
So many nat 20.
Killing it. Killing it so hard, in fact, that actually you've gained some distance today. I'm going to give you some extra distance, because that's a succession of very, very...
There's a while where we're all just sprinting.
Yeah. You're not sprinting, but you do find a few clearings. You're making really good progress today, and everyone's hyped up for the boar they're going to eat later. as well, because you can probably carrying
Everyone's
that by this point.
Boar. And I imagine, even though the way the rations work is it's like the boar's worth 4 and the berries are worth 3, I imagine we're kind of splitting everything up even Steven, so that everyone gets a bit of boar, everyone gets some berries, everyone has a nice meal.
Totally. Cool. Right, let's get one more scouting check from Kratz.
All right, here we go. $13, I'm afraid. Not fantastic, but not terrible.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, he returns back to you. Says he has there's nothing notable up ahead. Just keep heading there. He's not going to grant advantage tomorrow.
He walked right past an entire orc army.
All right, you roast up your food. You have a nice evening. Nothing of note happens, and you can get a short rest if you need it. And once you're ready to progress the next day, get started with the 60-12.
Okay. Meat's back on the menu, boys.
Unironically.
All right, 60-12. Aha!
Ooh. Very interesting.
God, wouldn't it be tragic if we're killed like 6 miles out from Blassingdale?
That would be tragic. Okay. Cool. Let's get our foraging checks? Yeah, let's get our foraging checks in. So that's 3 from Dorian, 1 from Kratz, 1 from Istria.
3 from Dorian.
Cool. Alright, a quieter day. Dorian gets 2 rations. He keeps 1 for himself. Then we'll get encounter checks for Kratz once you're ready.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I just wanted to freeze a pane in my Excel spreadsheet because it was getting annoying having to go back and forth. So, roll what you said?
Encounter checks for Kratz.
Counter checks for Kratz. Here we go.
Okay.
Did you get those? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then we'll do the first navigation check of the day. No advantage.
Okay. You can do this, Istria.
All right. Kratz is scouting check, please. Nope. All right. Kratz returns. Doesn't say anything of note, and you continue walking through this lowlands. Why don't you roll me a? Oh wait, we forgot Istria's sighting, so we'll just go back and we'll do that. So go ahead, athletics check for Istria. Excellent, that's fine.
Poor meat didn't matter.
No. All right. Istria's navigation check then for the second watch.
Oh, so poor.
Okay. I'm going to need you to roll me a d10.
Okay.
Okay. And then Kratz's scouting check for me. Okay, that's good.
Comes rushing back. You're all off.
Yes, basically. Kratz does come back and say that he thinks we've taken a wrong turn. And I think that's probably sufficient enough to put you back on the map, because I think Kratz thinks he knows roughly where you are. And it is not. He does not think that you're heading in the right direction anymore. You've gotten a little off track.
That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
Okie dokie. Right.
We entered a different hex.
You did. Yeah. You did enter a different hex.
Oh, but we're near the spine of the world. That's so fun.
Okay. Let's skip forward a little bit. The evening has come. You've all eaten some rations. You're all heading, everyone's in bed except for Admand. Yep, Admand's the only one awake. When he... Actually, let's have Admand roll a perception check. Oh yeah, okay.
Can't sneak up on the son of Mad Hog.
You notice on the edges of your camp, you've been looking. Maybe you've passed it a few times today and you haven't thought anything of it. But as you're sitting there with not much else to do, you're kind of looking towards it, and I think you start to realize that in the edge of your camp there is a very deep depression in the grass.
A deep depression in the grass. Like there was a tent there, or there was a creature laying there?
Not that large. Yeah, it's like almost maybe the size of your head. That sort of size of depression. It's generally rounded, but it's a strange shape.
Does he notice any tracks? Any footsteps?
Why don't you roll me a survival check? Not that you can see. Nothing distinguishable.
I think that... And it looks... You said it looks like the size of a head?
Oh, yeah, roughly.
Do I see any other impressions elsewhere in the campsite if I look?
Roll me. I think I'm gonna have you roll me another perception check. Okay. Yes, you do. You find, not in the camp, but a little bit into the grass, away from it. You start to find a couple more of these, sort of in sets of 4. 2 together, and then a little bit of a gap, and another 2.
Okay. So I think he's assuming that these are tracks, that this is something stride, something's walk, and then is it like crossing through our camp?
No, it seems to be sort of near the edge of camp and then going away from it.
Okay. Well, that's
And it's been there since you got here. You did notice this little impression when you arrived, but you didn't think of anything of it. It's only now that you're sort of noticing.
I think that he's a little worried that there could be a creature nearby, but he doesn't necessarily think it's worth interrupting anyone's sleep just yet. I think he's going to be in a heightened state of defense. I think what he's going to do is he's going to get out his, if he didn't already have it out, he's going to get out his Warhammer. And he's also going to sort of, wherever he's sitting, he's going to set out in his lap his hand axes, so that if he needs to, he can very quickly grab and throw.
Cool.
And he is going to be I think in a heightened state of awareness, making sure that we don't get ambushed by wolves or, oh God, or owlbear. For the love of God, not an owlbear. Anything but that.
Okay. Cool. Sounds good. We're gonna move on now till the start of the next day because nothing else is gonna happen that evening. And as we do, I want to make a little point that you've been under this eternal darkness now for maybe closing in on 10 days. It was a couple days before you got to Lurk Watch. You were at 5 days at Lurk Watch, and this is like the third or fourth day of your journey today. So there is an effect that's probably started to happen. Maybe it's, quite small, minor, especially for you, maybe more so for the other people in your party, where you're living in the day, your rhythm, your body's rhythm is disrupted. The lack of light and the various things that you get from the sun is probably having a slight dampening effect on mood, things like that. So yeah, just to make sure that you know that you are living in constant darkness at the moment.
Yeah, and I especially think that's probably... I think the fact that that's affecting Admand's mood, it's probably the fact that Admand is, I would think, the most resistant to that kind of feeling because he's a dwarf and because he spent some time in the mines, and he comes from a line of people that might have lived in the mines half their life, whereas like Istria, Dorian, Kratz, Faldor, none of them presumably are used to this. Billy certainly is not. Billy's a farm boy, so like none of them are used to this amount of darkness. And I think if it's getting to Admand, then it must be doubly getting to his companions. So he keeps that in mind. He's going to keep an eye on people's mental statuses, make sure no one's getting a little too crazy. I think Admand is very going to be, despite the fact that things are scary, he's going to keep up an air of good cheer, tell jokes like he always does, try to keep a smile going even if he doesn't feel so happy, because he doesn't want his party to lose their morale.
Yeah. And adding to that, actually, it's worth mentioning that being in the terrain that you are, it is cold. There is a harsh wind blowing through the trees here. The branches of the trees have ice over them. In some places, there are still small bits of snow piles still here occasionally. It is cold.
Freaky.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we talked about this. You have cold weather clothing, right?
We do.
All right, cool.
You warned us.
Yeah.
So if it is chilly, we would switch to it.
All right, cool. Let's do our Istria scouting check to start the day.
Okay.
Sorry, I mean sighting. Slightly different.
Strength.
Yep. Nice. There you go. She lifts herself up to the top, to the treetop. And there are a couple of things that she can see. Let's get the perception check to figure out exactly what she can see. Excellent. Fantastic. Okay. Yeah, I think usually to all of this, I've got 19's very, very strong. So first things first, she can obviously see this absolute mammoth mountain range to the north. She can tell you're right up against the spine of the world. it is quite a. She's quite close to it now, so she can see this just massive sort of. This first is a mountain range, and then there's this massive glacier, and then the tops of the mountains are also covered in snow. So it almost feels like she's looking at the edge of the world up there.
Does the darkness seem to cover the mountains?
Yes, it does actually. So she can probably only see the silhouettes of that, although she can see the rest of the glacier that's out of the darkness a little bit to the west, because there is a little bit that's out of the darkness. But yes, the darkness does cover the mountains here, so she can probably only see the silhouette of those. To the east, she can see Basingdell, or at least she can see this massive blaze of light, which I will reveal. Oh, that's why it's looking weird right now. I'm on the player's view. So I usually have the player's view open on my other monitor. And I usually have the GM view open on this monitor, but now I've got the player's view on both, which isn't very helpful. So that's why I can't currently reveal the darkness to you.
There you go.
Just loading in now. There we go. Alrighty, so let's see if this works then, because on my screen this part is already revealed to you, but I don't think it actually is. Let's move over slightly. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, has that worked?
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. So she sees this massive blaze of light up on a hill in the distance to the east. And then also the last thing I think she can see is behind, or like above that blaze of light, she sees a strange silhouetted mountain. So she sees another mountain range, but the mountain just looks strange. She's never seen one that looks quite like this. And I'm going to share a picture of it for you.
A lonely mountain, if you will.
Yes. There you go. You should see that now.
Oh, this is cool. I like this. What's this from?
This is from a 4th edition module. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is I like.
Or this. 3rd maybe. Yeah, I think it's 3rd actually.
Oh, very phallic.
Sure.
For something. I mean, it's weird. What is it?
It is weird. Yeah, it's strange.
I don't like it. I don't trust that. And it looks like, I mean, so this picture has smoke. I'm assuming she can't see smoke.
She can't see the smoke. She can just see the outline of this strange-looking mountain.
Can she see what appears to be a path? Because I can see what appears to be a path.
No. Okay. Just the outline of the mountain for now.
And the trees.
And the trees.
Okay. So she sees a mountain and she sees, I mean, I would almost describe that as like, it looks like a claw or a finger is coming out of the mountain or something like that. Or a flame, a giant, you could also, but okay. So interesting. Okay, cool. Good to know.
All right.
Stone tooth. It's a tooth. Okay, anyway. Or that's what it's supposed to look like. Okay, I like it. I mean, it does look like a tooth or a claw or something like that. Cool. All right, I will have her get down and report.
Cool, excellent. She does so.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
So, like, I know why the spine of the world is cold. Why isn't all of the area in darkness, like, freezing?
Oh, you mean from the lack of sunlight? Yeah.
Yeah, why is there not, like, a constant winter? Maybe it's just small enough that the residual heat from around it is able to keep things warm? Like, the airflow from the other areas? I don't know. Magic? But he's like, hell if I know. I don't. They don't pay me to figure stuff out like that.
That's true.
They don't pay me anything.
That's true.
Right. Okay. Good. Yeah, I will have her report it.
Great. Cool. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to do before you set off today?
Other than share after Istria tells me that, I make sure Admand shares with the whole group that our target is within sight. Not only is Blasingdale near to us, I imagined it was going to be much farther because when you showed us that like regional map, and it looks like it's much farther, but I guess that map is very zoomed in. It's zoomed in on basically 2 or 3 hexes, and so literally the mountain is 1 hex away from Blasting Dell. That's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And I'm talking about the map, the green map that shows Blasting Dell and a couple of villages and the mountain.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize how zoomed in that map is, so that's good to know. And I think, I think everyone perhaps has a moment of maybe a little boost of morale knowing that we are close to Blasting Dell, and we can even see what is perhaps Kundrakar's mountain just beyond that.
Cool. All right. Why don't you roll me 60-12?
Fuck.
Ooh. All right.
That seems bad.
Ooh. Need to look at this one immediately. I keep closing this, even though I needed it open. As you're beginning to set up for the day, so you haven't left to travel yet. You're taking up camp, eating, drinking. You head off maybe to go talk to Faldor, who's out grazing, and out on the clearing that he's grazing on, you see more of these tracks.
That is not good.
And I think Faldor has noticed them too as you arrive and say, "Hey, you seen these?" Points at them.
I think that he... I say I have. There was one at our campsite I noticed. I worry that there's some sort of creature making them.
Yeah, they look a little to me like owlbear tracks.
Fuck, I was worried about that. That's the worst case scenario. Alright. Everyone should be on high alert then. We don't want to have to deal with owlbears. But if we have to, we need to be prepared to... I doubt running is an option. So, I have a feeling they're quite fast. But we'll do what we can.
Yeah.
Maybe climbing a tree, though. Maybe some of us could climb trees.
Owlbears can climb quite well, actually.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Better than you can. All right. Well, in that case, we're gonna have to stand our ground and fight them. I think if we find them, or hide, maybe we could hide. I think that for now, I make note. I tell everyone to be on high alert. There could be owlbears in the area, and that we will proceed with caution.
All right. Cool. Sounds good to me. We've done the sighting, so let's do our Istria navigation check. I think it's it is an advantage, and she's trying to get back on track. Now you're trying to exit one of the near sides of the hex, so it's going to take less distance than if you were trying to exit near the far side of the hex. So as long as you can get this one right, you should be fine.
This is Istria, right?
This is Istria survival at advantage.
At advantage.
Oh, okay. She does it. She does it. Cool. So you make it right to the border of the next hex on this watch.
Excellent.
It's not going to be pretty hard for you to get lost here. You're just going to maybe lose time if you fail the nav check. Let's get the Kratz survival, Kratz perception check. Sorry for scouting.
Are we close enough to maybe start seeing that beacon residually through the forest yet?
You've seen it once in the 4 hours you've been traveling. You did see it once, but you lost track of it again.
Okay. Yep. Kratz perception. Here we go.
Oh, nailing it. Yeah, he comes back, lets you know you're on the right track, says he can see it says that there's an incline ahead, and if you can get to the top of that, he thinks you're going to be able to see Blasting Dell.
Very good.
Cool. Another nav check from Istria.
Okay, this one again an advantage. Oh! Amazing.
Perfect.
Perfecto.
Perfecto. Very nice. Okay. All right, yeah, you get to the top of the incline. You're in a bit of higher ground now. There are a couple of rises around that Istria can see, but most importantly, you do get spot of the beacon in the distance. You are in the hex now, so you can move to Blasingdal's hex if you'd like to. Actually, you should. And yes, so you can now definitely see the beacon in the distance as you finish your journey for the day. But I think Kratz still has one more scouting check he can do. Yep, so he can go ahead and roll that perception.
Oof.
Okay. Cool. Who is on Sentinel for this watch? I think it's Admand. But is there anybody else? This is watch 3. No, it's just Admand.
Is usually the only one.
All right, go ahead.
Or rather, there's usually only one Sentinel on a watch, is what I mean.
Yeah. Admand can make a perception check for me.
Perception, here we go.
Oh, okay.
Crushed it.
As you are coming up an incline on this watch, this is your second travel watch, third watch of the day. At the edge of your lantern light, you catch glimpse of an outline of something. And as you get a little bit closer to it, you see that it appears to be a barrel buried in the ground. There's only about maybe the top 20% of it poking out of the ground, roughly buried. You can see the earth all around it is a bit disturbed. Although there's some grass that's regrown over this disturbed earth.
That sounds weird. That sounds almost like a trap, like to catch an animal or something. You said half buried?
No, it's only like the top 20% that's above the ground, so mostly buried.
Mostly buried, yeah. And are we near enough to see if it's open at the top or not?
Yeah, it's closed.
It's closed. Would anyone know if there is could Kratz roll to see if he knows of like an animal trap that uses something like this, or if this is something he'd be familiar with?
Kratz isn't currently with you.
Oh, that's the problem. What did you say about the ground around it?
It looks a little disturbed, like the earth's it's not flat, or it looks like it's been disturbed. However, there is grass growing over some of it.
So we have a 10-foot pole.
Oh, yeah.
I think Admand is going to tap around it.
Yeah, nothing of note happens. Actually, do you tap on it at all?
He's going to do that next. So if nothing happens around it, he would tap on the top of it.
Okay. Can you roll me a perception check? Also, why don't you put your feature in chat so I can remind myself of what exactly it gives you in case this is a trap.
Boom!
So you have advantage on perception checks to made of secret doors. Okay. You have advantage on saving throws made to avoid or resist traps, and resistance to the damage dealt by traps. Cool. All right.
And can search at normal pace.
Yep. True.
Which is also cool.
That is true, because you are currently traveling at normal pace, so you know.
So it's important. Yeah. He's always looking for traps. Is that a trap? That's a trap.
It's a trap.
That's a trap. Perception.
Okay, 11 I think is good enough for this. As you're tapping on the barrel, you can hear that it's... I feel like you can hear that there's something in it. That it's probably a liquid, and it's quite full.
Oh, liquid. Fuck it. He's gonna open it up. He's gonna check it out.
As you get a little closer before you open it up, you do see there's a little bit of a gap on the close side of the barrel between the barrel and the earth. Like there's a little gap in there, and in there is a spider nest. Regularly sized spiders.
Okay. All right. No, there's a giant spider. A water spider. All right, he'll open the top.
Okay, you. It's a little stiff. Do you have a crowbar or something?
No, but I do have a warhammer.
Oh yeah, do you want to just smash the top?
Maybe not smash it. But I guess like, could I use that to kind of just to kind of like tap on one side to push out the other, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, and I think you spend time doing it, and you're careful with it. I think that's an effective strategy, and eventually you pop off the top, and inside is a sort of goldish brownish colored liquid that lets off kind of a strong, pungent smell. It looks kind of like ale.
Dude, someone brewing beer out here? Dude, did we finally find alcohol? Yo, what? What? Fuck it. Admand's gonna get out a cup from his mess kit and reach in and pull out something to smell it closer.
It smells really strong and like pungent.
Dwarves are resistant to poison. He's gonna just a little.
It's very strong, and it tastes disgusting.
He tosses it out. He doesn't trust it.
It is clearly alcoholic.
Oh, okay. So it's just really maybe I think it's just bad booze. It's just like rot gut booze.
Why don't you roll me a Constitution perception check. So roll Constitution if you're proficient in perception. We'll add your proficiency to it.
Okay. This will be a +5.
All right.
Or an additional +2 to this, so 20.
It almost as you let the notes kind of rest in your mouth, it almost feels like somebody tried to make a dwarven style ale, but it tastes awful.
So they put in the traditional dwarven spices, and but they fucked up the brew somehow. Oh, someone is making a mockery of my culture, and I think he's not that desperate. He's not like a fiend looking to keep off the shakes, so I don't think he needs to drink this. He offers it to anyone who's desperately in need of getting drunk, but otherwise he will seal it, and we'll move on.
Anyone who like comes close as far as like smells how strong it is pretty repulsed by the idea of drinking it. And it's even Istra even suggests, "Are you sure it isn't poison?"
Because we'll find out. I drank some of it. What I mean, to be fair, one man's poison is another man's alcohol. So
she shakes her head.
I think the fact that it's strong, it doesn't really bother Admand. Just the fact that it doesn't taste like it should maybe freaks him out. Or not freaks him out, but like he just thinks like if you're gonna drink ale, you should make sure you find the good stuff, at least passable. Especially if it's trying to imitate dwarven ale. I imagine the dwarven ale in Mirabar is quite good. There's a lot of tap houses there. So
yeah, this is an interesting thing. It is quite good, and I think Admand would probably, because of your background as an integrated dwarven family, would probably find it like, yeah, this is good stuff. But I think Admand would be aware that someone from a dwarf hold would consider Miraba brewed Dwarven Ale to be of a lower standard.
They'd consider it to be it's been weakened for the humans for their taste. It's like Chinese or Vietnamese food in Western countries. It's like, oh well, this is
Indian,
yeah. They're like, this is fine, but it's not spicy enough, or it's not this or that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we will seal it up.
Okay. Cool.
And move on.
All right. I'm gonna ask for one more perception check before you leave.
Now Admand's getting excited to find some dwarven ale at these strongholds. It's hopefully intact.
That's the real treasure.
That'd be the real treasure. Perception.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Nothing else of note. Nothing else of note.
There's just gold hidden at the bottom of that barrel. If you drink all of it.
Yep. It's a challenge. Okay, cool. Right, we were on watch 3. Have we done Kratz's last scouting check of the day? No, we have. Yes, we have. He failed. Okay, cool. Yep. Cool. All right, then everyone reunites, ready to hunker down for the night.
I don't know if have we done foraging.
Foraging. I don't think we have. Good call. All right, let's do them. It's 3 for Dorian, 1 for Istria, 1 for Kratz. Okay, it's an Istria day. Istria gets 3 rations.
Okay. I'm curious on her psychology. Does she give them all to me, or does she take 1 and give 2 to me?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm actually not entirely sure.
She is a very, like, I think she's the kind of person that looks out for her own interests, but she is also perhaps the most loyal to me of anyone in the party.
I think also there's an element of, like, she trusts you to look after her, but I'm going to be quick.
Yeah, when I say she's loyal to me, I think it's in the sense that we're loyal to each other. She has a sense that we will, that we have each other's backs covered.
Okay, I think I made a quick roll, and I think she's going to give everything to you.
Okay. Honestly, it mostly doesn't matter. It would only matter in the case where someone was hoarding more than 1 ration per day. As long as someone doesn't do that, it really is more just a flavor thing. But
or maybe if supplies are running low.
If supplies are running really low, it could matter. Sure.
Yeah.
It could, especially in a case where we're starved. Well, like because I know there's rules for starvation, right? And so presumably you might be in a case where you literally, like, you only get 1 ration per 2 days.
Yes.
And maybe someone's like, well, you just ate yesterday. I should get that. It's like, well, I found it. So it's mine. And Dorian runs off like Gollum with the ring.
I am God. Oh.
Eats all the berries. Okay. So she found 3, you said. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, good to know. Okay, and I have subtracted the flasks of oil. We are down from 100 flasks of oil to 80 flasks of oil. We are going through them quick.
Yep. Alrighty, cool. And
also, I don't know if it'll help, if it'll get us a discount at the oil store. But, like, I'm saving these empty flasks. I'm not just tossing them on the ground. Maybe we could get like a, I don't know, a little percentage off because we have our own containers when we go to fill them up or something. I don't know.
It's possible. It's possible. All right. I think the rest of the night's gonna pass uneventfully, and you're gonna wake up with another short rest in the morning. Cool.
Excellent.
When you're ready, roll me your 60-12. Actually, yes, I will need 60-12 today.
What game is this music from?
This is from Tales of the Abyss, I think.
Okay.
Which reminds me, we're not investigating a mystery anymore. The mystery of the ale. So we can go back to the generic Lurkwood in the Shadowlands music.
Nice. I do think those Tales games, they really have some very evocative fantasy music.
Yeah, I really like the soundtracks from all of them, and they're all quite different.
They're different, but it's also it does not sound. I really like the kind of the way a lot of JRPG soundtracks sound, but it doesn't remind me of other music from some of those other games. There's something like, distinct about it.
Some I know it's a really popular RPG, but I also take a lot of music from Final Fantasy VII because I think that's got a really varied soundtrack as well. Because there's parts of that game that are like big urban city, and then there's parts of that game that are like spiritual valley, and it's a very diverse region.
Would you consider that setting like steampunky, that game?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe. I don't know. It's weird because parts of it I definitely think are steampunky, and then parts of it are just traditional fantasy. I mean, it's very it's an interesting one. I think steampunk's probably the right genre for it. At least parts of it. Again, it's weird because again, if some parts of the map are really, really different to the other parts.
You can just add fantasy to anything, right? There is fantasy sci-fi is a big genre now, where you have wizards in space and shit. So you could do fantasy steampunk, Anyway,
I don't actually know how fantasy Final Fantasy VII setting is. To be fair, there isn't a lot of.
It's the final fantasy. One, though. It's the final fantasy. Surely there has to be some fantastical things in it.
Okay, cool. You begin the journey. Yes. Yeah, you begin the journey today. And let's get the Istria. Is Istria still going to sight today?
Oh, yes.
Excellent. Let's get an athletics check from her then to kick things off. Yep, that is sufficient. She climbs the tree. Let's get a perception check from up there. Excellent. Yeah, she has clear view. And I think with a 90, that's really strong. I'm going to say that did she already have advantage on her? I don't think she did she? So I'm going to give her advantage on her first navigation check because she can see that there are little gaps and clearings, a little pond.
Literally sees the mayor of Blassingdale waving. Like, come over here.
Come. Yeah, absolutely. She can see, she can sort of map out the path to the town in her mind, and she's gonna hopefully be able to follow it by a few little landmarks that she can see the residual light from Blassingdale washing over. And also she's trying to be like, okay, I can definitely, if I get to that hill, I can see the light from there. So try and keep the town in view as she goes. So, speaking of that navigation check, I think we should kick off with it.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, sorry, wait. With advantage.
With advantage.
Roll again. Okay, 13.
Okay. She definitely doesn't quite hit all of those marks that she set out. She gets a little bit lost within the forest. One thing you're noticing as you're traveling through this terrain is you're seeing a lot of beehives up on the trees. The trees are a little shorter here, and there's a lot of big hives.
Dorian's staring at it, thinking, I could get some honey.
Oh. Okay, speaking of those foraging checks, let's get them done. 3 Dorian, 1 Istria, 1...
Come on, Dorian! Get the honey! Alright, Oh! Oh, sorry. That would actually be a 15 for Kratz. Okay. Have to roll his actual skill, and then
Dorian gets 6 rations, and it does include some honey.
Honey's back on the menu, boys. Just shows a picture of Winnie the Pooh, just like with a severed head.
Hey, there is a Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
Oh, is there? Oh,
yeah. So Winnie. So I like this story. It's funny. A couple of years ago, the IP on Winnie the Pooh expired because it was 100 years old or something like that. So it fell. Winnie the Pooh has fallen into the public domain now.
Oh, so Winnie the Pooh books.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you can. And so one person decided, I'm going to make a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. That's what I want to do. So that's what they did. And apparently it's really terrible, but it's really funny. So,
now that you're saying this, I vaguely remember seeing an ad for this once. I'll have to check that out. I do like the occasional bad horror movie. Have you ever seen Sharknado? I saw that recently for the first time.
No, I've heard of it though. I think
it's so bad that it's
good.
Well, yeah, it's so bad that it's good, but it's so bad that also it's not that,
Yeah,
like,
I know what you mean.
It's at a certain point you come back again and it's just bad. It's different. Like it's a different movie than like The Room, which is the perfect so bad it's good movie. This is a little different than that, but anyway, okay, so back into it.
We need a Kratz perception check. He's scouting. We also need 2 encounter checks for Kratz. Or we'll do 2.
Perception.
Perception. Okay, we did 2 perception checks instead of 2 encounter checks. That's fine.
Oh, did you say encounter check?
Yeah. I originally said 1 perception check, and I said we also need the 2 encounter checks, so I understand the confusion. We'll use the second perception check for his second watch of scouting, though. That's fine. And those are no encounters, so it's not really that big of a deal in the end of the day. All right, Istria, though, she has to make 1 nav check, no advantage, and this is an important one.
Fuck. How important? Why is it important?
You're close to the end of the journey here. It could be all over if she succeeds.
Oh. You know what, then? I have inspiration. I'm going to use it. I'm going to cash in on my inspiration and give Istria advantage.
All right.
Right? I can do that? I can use it on allies? Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to do that. Here we go. Oh, that was huge. That's
well played.
Big.
Well played. Big. Okay. Excellent.
Just imagine, like, our navigation has just been circling around this town for days.
Well, you are entering the town from a different direction than I expected. So I'm gonna move you to the other direction, because I thought you would be coming from the south, but you're kind of coming from the west now.
Do you have, like, because I know you showed me that picture of this, like, of this theoretical hex and the way you measure it out. Do you have that on its own thing that you're kind of moving a pin around to show where we are, or do you just have it in your head?
No, it's more abstract. I have, like, how far into the hex you are and things to make sure I know how long it should take you to go to certain places. And I also have a little diagram that helps me understand where you will go if you get lost. But I don't have every hex individually, like where are you exactly inside the hex.
Sure. Cool.
All right. I'm hoping this works for vision, because I wanted to try this out. This is a bit unusual for a town map, but I think given the nature of the darkness, I think it could be quite cool. So hopefully the vision on this works. Yeah, that's looking fine. Can you see things?
Oh, yes, I just had to move down. I can see things.
Excellent. Cool. You begin, as you're approaching, you see these massive towers of light, you see these buildings up on a hill. So you're clearly approaching Blassingdell when you see a figure walking towards you from the town.
Loving this music. What's this from?
This one's from Pokemon, the 4th generation, the Sinnoh games.
Okay, I love it. Yeah, okay. So a guy approaching.
Yeah, it's actually a woman.
Oh.
Let me find my notes here. Yeah, this is a woman in her early 30s approaching you. She's got leather armor on and weapons at her hip. and she flags you down, and she calls out, and she says, "Hail, travelers! You do not look like a merchant caravan."
I wave and say, no, indeed, we are not. But we are friends. We come to rest up here in Blassingdale while we are on our way to Kundrakar.
Kind of looks you up and down and says, "Kundrakar is a myth. It does not exist. I'm sorry, you've come to the wrong place."
Shit! Are you fucking kidding me? Admand gets pissed and just leaves, doesn't ask any other question. Turns around, walks directly back to Mirabar without rest. Just like, I can't believe we were tricked! He lied to us! No,
As your conversation is starting, by the way, you see another figure emerge from between these two buildings, carrying a lantern. You can't really see them very well.
Tokens? Or
no?
Okay,
no.
Just making sure.
Just you.
So I see another person with a lantern. We actually obviously have our lanterns as well. Yep. And I say, a myth. Well, that is most disappointing. Perhaps you can tell us more about this myth then. Still, since we came all this way, Admand. I don't think is phased too much by this. I think he thinks, they're probably just wrong. he just assumes they're wrong, and then he'll find out later if that's true. But he doesn't tell him that. He says, I'd love to hear more. It would be a pity, though, to have come all this way for nothing.
I think at this point, the other figure has probably arrived on the vicinity, and you can see them a lot better now. This second figure to arrive is a man. It's a half-orc. He's got a very square jaw. He's wearing leather armor and a long duster coat, as well as a large hat. And he says, "What's going on here?"
Well, let me actually properly introduce myself. I am Admand Honak, son of Madog. My companions and I have come from Mirabar.
Well, welcome. Welcome to Blassingdale. My name is Grendar. Pleasure to meet you.
I shake his hand, and I shake the woman's hand if she accepts it.
Yep. He says, "Well, your town's nice and peaceful, in the middle of nowhere. You don't cause any trouble, we won't cause you any trouble. Do we understand each other?"
Is this guy, I was just thinking, like, he's wearing a duster, he's got a hat, he's Lucas Sims from Megaton.
Yep. He's got his fake AK-47 out. You know?
I think when Admand sees the AK-47, he's like, "Yeah, I don't think we're gonna cause you any trouble."
He tips his hat and says, "Well, thank you plenty. If you need anything, you know where to find me. There's an inn for travelers up on the ridge there," and he points behind him, called the Bored Weasel.
Oh, that's fun. Is there a weasel there?
No.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, that's good to know. I'm sure my friends and I would be glad for the refreshments. And your names? Just so I know who I'm speaking to.
He already introduced himself as Grendar.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's right. Grendar.
And this is
Are you the sheriff?
I'm the sergeant. I'm the law in this town, though. I suppose I'm some sort of sheriff. Though, nobody's made me the sheriff.
Okay, and then he was introducing her.
Yeah, this is Constable Dara. If you need to report a crime, she's the sharpest mind in town.
All right. Well, that is good to know. I will keep my eyes out, but I can assure you, my friends and I will be of no trouble to you here. And perhaps we can bring some trade to your town. I'm sure that you have some supplies that might be of use to us. Yes. Well, in that case, I think we'll head to the local, to this Bored Weasel. And if I have any questions for either of you, where did you say I could find you again?
He says, I'm out and about. I like to keep my face seen on the streets, but if you can't find me, you can usually find me in the barracks on the south side of the hill. You know, Dara's office is just right up the hill there. And then he looks at Dara and he says, well, are you satisfied? And she kind of looks over your group a little suspiciously and then says, sure, I'll be keeping my eyes on you.
Do you have a place we could keep our animals?
Ooh.
Or should they just graze at the outside of town?
Yeah, you can leave them outside of town. Shouldn't be too dangerous. There's a hitching post over at the Board Weasel. There are a couple of hitching posts around town as well, if you'd prefer. The only place I know that has proper stabling is the Dell Brewery, but I'm not sure.
There's a brewery.
Oh, there's 2 breweries here in town.
Oh, wow. They wouldn't happen to bury barrels in the middle of the ground out in the forest, would they?
Dara immediately raises an eyebrow, and then they look at each other and go, not as far as I know.
Good.
Have you found anything like that?
You want to make sure that's not what they're serving? Well, yes, actually. We found a strange barrel out in the woods, and it had the foulest smelling ale I've ever scented. No offense to anyone that made it, if it even was ale.
Well, the only ale brewery we have here it brews proper dwarven ale. You're saying it wasn't that?
Oh no! Admand starts to get nervous. Well, I am sure that I don't think this was done by an amateur. I'm sure. We will, but we'll love to try the local delicacies. Admand's seriously starting to get nervous. He's like, oh God, did they just make that here? Why is it out in the woods? He's thinking. Why?
Grendar looks.
What kind of ramshackle operation is this?
Grendar looks to Dara and he says, "You think this is something worth checking out?" She thinks about it for a moment. She says, "No. It's not important enough to waste time on this. Thank you, though. If you could give me directions, then maybe I'll keep it in mind."
Oh, yes. Oh, I guess it could be like bootleggers. Yes, it was... I'd give directions. I don't, it was this much back in this kind of direction. And I also say that I'm sure they know about this, but I tell them that about a day and a half ago, we saw quite a lot of owlbear tracks. We didn't see any owlbears, but we came close to them, we think.
Yep. Grenner says, "Yeah, it's hunting season. You don't want to stray too far away from the town if you can avoid it. They don't come too close with the light."
Good. Well, I will leave you both to your business. As I said, I'll come to you if I have any questions. And the same, if I understand these are strange times. So if you have any other questions from my group, or I won't take any offense to them. I think we'll be heading to the Weasel. And then I turn to Faldor and I say, I'll leave it up to you whether you want to hitch them or leave them to graze.
Faldor says maybe he'll go check out this Dell Brewery and see if he can get stabling.
Yeah, see if you can smell it from 2 feet away.
Grandar says, "Well, welcome to Blasting Dell, the busiest town this side of the Lurkwood." And then he starts to leave.
I genuinely believe that.
Yep.
It doesn't seem like a crazy claim. It's already bigger than I thought. They've got a brewery?
They've got 2, apparently.
Wait, what?
He said he's got 2 breweries in town, but only one does ale.
What does the other one do? I might need to drink what the other one does.
Do you ask?
Yeah, what's the other brewery make? Mead?
Yes, the other brewery is Casper's Meadery.
I had a feeling. I noticed a lot of bees on the way. A lot of beehives.
The best mead in the lands, as far as I'm concerned, gets imported from Icewind Dale, but the second best comes from Casper.
Though strange that creatures that rely entirely on pollinating flowers could survive in a land of eternal darkness.
There are lots of flowers still around.
How? Plants. How do trees survive? Never mind.
He shrugs.
Admand's not a horticulturist. I don't know. I'm sure this would bother someone. Maybe it bothers Dorian. I think Admand doesn't think about it, but maybe Dorian's starting to get obsessed about this. Like, he's like, wait, why? How could the... All right, so I think then we will start heading and exploring the town. Check out this. I think we'll start with the inn, and we're gonna ask if other people think that this place is a myth. What was I must have written it down. Let me double check before I go in here.
Yeah,
because I did write it down. Okay, here we go. Went to Blastingdale, came back, arrived at Kellenvor Point. It's dead unless meet. It's Thunder's Carlin. Blastingdale to a few folks in my country cars nearby. Huh. I do remember Ulrich telling us that the people here were kind of that they were a little bit tight-lipped.
Yeah.
So, okay. I think we'll go to the local beer. I am very curious, so we will go to the Weasel and see what this ale is like.
Okay, so in terms of this map, just to outline, it's very I haven't done this to be particularly difficult to explore. Like you feel free to just walk around as you want. It is to scale, but obviously your token isn't. So it's mostly just to get this idea of like your bearings aren't fully straight in the dark, right? It's we're not going to take. It's not too serious. It's not like a dungeon, right? Where you can move around however you want. And eventually I'll probably show it all to you. But I just wanted maybe to try this for a little bit, just to give you this feeling of, oh well, it's kind of hard to see everything in the darkness.
Oh, a town hall.
Yep.
Giant sign that says town hall.
Everything's labeled, but obviously there's no signs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The labels are just because I don't feel the need to hide the labels from you.
Oh, fuck. I fell into a building. Like, we'll find this goddamn...
Well, there's the constable's office.
Oh, a temple.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the constable. I sort of popped my head in. Is she there?
Yep.
So sorry, Constable Dara. What part of town was that weasel in again?
She points you in this direction. Can you see that? Am I on the right layer?
Do it again.
There?
I'm not seeing it.
You're not seeing it.
But maybe it's because it's in the darkness?
No. You should see that.
Ah! Yes, I can see that.
Cool.
Thank you!
You found it.
Okay, so he goes in, yeah, maybe he can Faldor can mess around with the hitches, see what he thinks about him, and I think I will immediately head in with the rest of the party. And yeah, how many people are inside?
It's quiet. Yeah, there's maybe like 2 or 3 people. The way they're. Go on.
Sorry, and what time is it when we're getting here to town?
It's hard to tell. And certainly people's clocks have changed quite a bit. But you've been traveling all day, so you reckon it's like around maybe
mid to late
8.
afternoon. Oh, okay, so more like evening. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. A couple of people in here, the way they're dressed, they seem like they're out of town. There is one dwarven gentleman in the corner having some food on his own. The barkeep is a old, dark-skinned human man. His eyes are sort of glazed over a little bit. Something seems wrong with his eyes. You can tell kind of from looking at them that they just seem injured in some way. But he notices your entrance and says, "Hey, welcome. You regular or are you new in town?"
New in town, and I get closer to him. Perhaps that'll help him see me. I'm
Admand.
Yes, and I shake his hand. I've got some other friends here that can introduce themselves in a moment, but we were looking to get some refreshments. We've been on the road for days, and I have not tasted any of life's greatest pleasures in weeks.
Well, you've come to the right place. We got a great selection here. Got a great stew, couple of local vegetables roasted to perfection, and 2 local drafts.
Okay. This is nice. Local vegetables roasted to perfection. Okay, we'll do the. Is that a description of the stew, or is he saying there's a stew and then there's like roasted vegetables?
There's 2 separate things. There's a stew and then there's also the vegetables. Although some of the vegetables are going to be in the stew if you don't want them roasted. Yeah.
Sure. I will try the stew. I'll let the others pick what they want, and then Admand is also going to. He's a little concerned. He's very curious. He says, which of the local beverages do you think are the best?
Yeah, well, if you ask me, I think probably Casper's work is better. Casper's spiced mead is it's a nice drink. I could drink that all night.
What do you make of the local ale? I heard that it is an attempt to replicate my own people's ale. Do you think it succeeds?
Oh, well, it's no replica. It's real dwarven ale, as far as I know.
Oh, are there dwarves making it? Or
there used to be. It's currently ran by a human. But when I arrived in town, I'm pretty sure it was run by a dwarf.
All right. Well, we'll start with the Caspers. We'll start with the mead, and then I'll try a little bit of that ale.
Do you want Casper's original or Casper spiced?
We'll start with the original.
All right. Let's just do a lifestyle expense here, rather than dealing exactly with what you're buying.
Sure.
So let's go with 1 gold piece for the day.
1 gold piece sounds good.
And that'll cover if you want a room here as well.
And I'll just subtract that from everyone.
All right,
so
cool.
Everyone has spent that, unless anyone wants to cheap out. But I'm assuming everyone wants a nice.
I think that's fine. Yeah.
A nice day of relaxation, not having to penny pinch, and we're yeah, okay. What do I think of it once I get my hands on it?
The meat?
Yeah, is it any good?
Yeah, no, it's well made, it's well brewed, it's fairly strong, but it's very sweet, very, very sweet.
Okay, good. Well, that's what you want from a mead, I suppose. I went to a meadery recently in real life.
Oh,
it was
really?
a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah, they had like 10 different ones and all kinds of different yeah, there's a lot of it's good. It's good. It's not the kind of thing I drink all the time because of how sweet it is, but it's good. I will take that and the stew, and maybe I actually sit at the bar and I say, "What's your name, a good man?"
I'm Lucas.
Lucas, good to meet. And he's a human, you said.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how'd the tavern get its name? I was hoping for a weasel, but I've been told there isn't one.
Let me have a look at my notes here.
No. The notes just say, "Don't ask Lucas about why it's called the word weasel. He will get very upset." He's very self-conscious about the fact that they don't have a live weasel.
Yeah, he says, I'm not sure, actually. I acquired this establishment when I moved here. Must have been... Oof. How long ago now? This one should be here. Let me see if I can find it. 40 years? Yeah, that seems about right. This might change if I find this later, but I think he's going to say, I moved here about 40 years ago. And I acquired the establishment. It already had the name. It seemed to fit. I did ask a few times where it got the name from, but nobody seems to know.
Sounds good. Well, if you ask me, you should get a weasel. But what do I know?
This is a historically weaselless land.
We could bring one in.
Well, look, are you good friend? I don't mean to pry, but are you selling weasels? Is that your business?
No, we're not. I don't know why I'm bringing it up so much. I actually have never had a weasel myself. Even a ferret would do. I just think. Anyway, what is? I must ask. Perhaps this is too forward of me. My company and I, and you see, we came in. We came here because we are interested in finding a dwarf hold by the name of Kundra Kar. But when I mentioned that to the local constable, Dara, she seemed to think we were out of luck, that it's a myth. Now, I certainly got different information back in Mirabar, where we're from, and I'm wondering what your take on all this is. Is that true? What have you heard of it?
He pauses for a second, and then he says, "I'm afraid I can't talk about that, friend. Be happy to talk with you about many other things."
Well, may I ask why? Is it a law against it?
I'd rather not discuss the topic.
One last question before I offend you. Is there anyone in town you think would be willing to discuss the topic? We've come a long way.
I think most won't. But if anyone will, maybe the constable, maybe the sergeant, maybe the mayor.
Oh, the mayor! Would he be in the town hall?
That's right.
What's the mayor's name, by the way?
Mayor name is Sir Miles. Sir Miles Barrick.
Barrick or Merrick?
Barrick.
Well, we can move on then to cheerier topics. Any rumors you've heard lately? How are things going in town? We've heard there's a lot of owlbears on the prowl.
It's that time of year, yeah. Though they don't tend to come too close to town, thankfully. And there are a few people that even hunt the things. Meat ain't so bad. It comes through every now and then. I've got a blanket made of owlbear feathers.
Oh, wow. That sounds awesome. Well, that's incredible. You know, at this point, he's kind of finished off the mead, and he's like, why don't we try one of those ales? Oh, let's see if it's up to muster.
As he's part of he says, well, Casper over at the meadery is, at the moment, he's looking for people looking to do some work for him. If you're new in town and you're in need of funds, and maybe you can go talk to Casper.
Work to do with Albert?
No, not to do with owlbears. Just you seemed interested in the mead.
I would love to speak with the man. Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for work.
Would you like stout, regular, or aged?
Aged sounds concerning. We'll start with a regular.
Okay. He pours out the mug. It's the golden brown color that you saw before. But the smell, you don't have the smell that you had.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good ale. It's well brewed. It's a nice taste. But it's not dwarven ale.
But I think it tastes even better than it actually tastes, because he went in with the expectation that it was going to taste awful. Like, his expectations were so low that he's like, this is pretty good. And he's I think once he's drank it a little bit, he'll sort of reflect and be like, yeah, I mean, It's definitely not dwarven ale, but it's good ale, and it's not like some shady Rotka that was sitting in a barrel. No, he's gonna sip it just fine. Have a drink of it. He's very good, very good. I'll have to give my compliments to the local brewer. What was the name of the man or lady, the person who brews the ale?
The woman in charge of the Del Brewery these days is no, not her. There it is. Morella Kazlov.
Now, why is it called the Del Brewery and not the Kazlov Brewery?
Well, she took it over from a dwarf, like I said, couple decades back. But I think it's named after Blessingdale, maybe.
Oh, yes, that makes sense. Any idea what happened to the dwarf?
I think she passed.
Oh, wow. That's that's sad, but I am glad that her brewery is in good hands. Very good, very good. Well, I think I will get to know some of the locals. Thank you so much for your kindness, Lucas. Oh, and the stew's here. And he starts eating the stew. And you said there was a dwarf chilling out?
Yeah.
And anyone else?
Yeah, there are two more out-of-towners, a human woman and probably another human man. Yeah.
I think I start to approach the dwarf, and I give him the kind of universal dwarf look of like, oh, would you like a drinking buddy? Or
sure. He seems receptive.
I sit down and I say, I'm Admand. What's your name?
That is a great question, Admand. And I do have a name.
Oh no. Is it strange you had to get out a tome, though? He literally gets out a giant book.
It's my passport.
I do have a name. 1 second.
Let me consult the family archives for my name.
Table of contents. Oh, I'll need to check the glossary.
Where the fuck is my name?
Man, you got a hell of a book there. How thick is that? That looks big.
The one that you're actually asking?
Yeah. Okay, it's not, but it's still, that's very organized.
Thank you. This is just your campaign as well.
Oh, wow.
For the most part. Okay. My name is Mardak.
Mardak the Mardakian. Okay, good to know you, Mardak. Hi, as I said, I'm Admand. I'm from Mirabar. Where you hail?
Originally from Citadel Adbar, but I left there. Must have been 150 years ago now.
I see. I don't know what the phrase would be. My condolences. I don't know what's going on there, but I can't imagine it's good these days.
No, the news is bleak. I try not to think about it too much, but indeed, it's a sad state of affairs.
You live here?
For now, I'm a bit of a wanderer. I was traveling across the Silver Marches for a few decades. I'm a sort of a... He thinks for a moment. Roll me an insight check as well for me real quick.
You believe this man is going to kill you?
Immediately.
Roll initiative. Insight. Yes.
Oh, excellent. You can see there's pauses.
I rolled so many nat 20, like so many 20s today.
He pauses, and you can tell there's a bit of hesitation, but then he responds, I'm a bit of a alchemist, herbalist. I collect I collect local flora, and I've been traveling around for most of my life, just exploring, seeing what I can find. Occasionally, I sell things, and then I move on. The war kicked off a few years ago, and I was in a bit of spot of bother. I won't bore you with the details, but eventually I ended up here, and this seems a safer place as any to bunker down for a little while.
And then what was the insight? What was that telling me?
He hesitated a little before he
has
said,
yeah. I say,
and I mean, I think I can also say that it's clear from the insight that he's not telling you everything, but I think that's maybe normal for a stranger.
So how long have you been here in Blassingdale then?
About must have been 3 years.
3 years. Good. Is it safe here? Or seems
yes,
like a hell of a place to live.
Well, the town's very safe, well protected. We've had since I've gotten here, there's been a bit of an influx in mercenaries, protecting the walls, doing patrols, that sort of thing. But the sheriff, or was he the sergeant? He knows what he's doing. He doesn't take no fools, and if there's ever any trouble, he acts pretty quick.
So there are walls?
Yeah, I think that was maybe a sort of what's the word? A figure of speech. They're more like guard posts. There aren't actually walls.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Well, that's good to know. It's tough times, but I'm glad to see that. I will say humans. I have noticed that they are remarkably quick to adapt to these sorts of situations.
That is certainly true. The amount that they can get done, or the amount that they can change in such a short period of time is quite impressive. Though, much like our people, they are much stronger together.
Feel that all people are. Do you think anyone isn't?
No, I think you're right. Although some races sometimes forget that lesson.
It's true. And no one is better at working together than dwarves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking shatter our mugs.
Bash our heads together.
Things get really weird. All of a sudden, Lucas is like, "Oh God, it's happening again."
I know I should have instituted the one dwarf rule.
Whenever they look, we can have multiple dwarves in here, but you have to sit at your own tables.
The dwarf bubbles.
We can't bring you together. You're like magnets. You'll smash into each other. I say, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Of course.
I sort of bring my voice down a little bit. I say, I mentioned something to the bartender, and it seemed like a touchy subject. I'm wondering if you would know why. You know anything about the old dwarf hold of Kundrakar? Actually, I wouldn't say old, because I'm speaking to a dwarf, so he knows it's not old for us, but like, do you know anything about the dwarf hold of Kundrakar? Durgan's old hold.
Durgadin, I assume you meant.
Durgadin.
Yeah.
Durgadin.
He pauses for a moment. He says, rumors of the place have trickled through here since I've been here. Though, like you say, the locals don't seem to want to talk about it. As far as I know, it's just a rumor.
And you don't know why they don't want to talk about it?
No, I'm afraid not. I have heard of Durgadin the Black, or Durgadin the Vengeful. But again, never met him. I've reason enough to believe he was real. I've seen weapons crafted by him.
Indeed. As far as I know, he was certainly the royal smith of Felbar. Though obviously I was never there, but back in Mirabar, where I'm from, people talk about him all the time. It seemed like there were people there that had met him, or at least had met people who had met him. It didn't seem like an ancient legend. Right? Because like this guy lived in living memory, right? He's not like some ancient figure. There are dwarves in Mirabar who presumably could have, in theory, met him.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And had his weapons and like So I say it's very strange to me that if it's a complete myth, it's not the sort of thing you would think would be a myth, if you get my meaning.
Well, he pauses. I see what you mean, although I feel like this is a sort of story that I hear humans tell all the time about some elf or dwarf in the middle of nowhere crafting these magnificent weapons. It does seem like it's a recurring theme in human stories.
They're obsessed with us.
Look at what they have to do to mimic a fraction of our power.
What do you make of the ale here?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh no! Should I avoid the aged?
The aged is better, actually.
Oh, okay. I'll try the aged. I'll try the aged next. The mead was good. I'm not much of a mead guy, but it's decent.
There's actually a very good wine up at the Broken Candle.
Wait, what's the Broken Candle?
It's a tavern on the north side of town. More of a locals tavern.
There's 2 taverns in this place? That's awesome. All right, I'll go in. It's a local tavern, you say. I'll just flip the door open and say, "Anyone here know about Kundrakar?" And I'll yell it out.
Well, I say it's a local tavern, but these days it's mostly used by the mercenaries.
Oh, okay. A lot of mercenaries in town, then.
Yes, quite a few. A lot of them come from this group to the south, the Lancers of Kelimvor.
Oh, yes. I've met them quite a bit on the way here. They are an interesting bunch.
Yes, there's actually there's a small shrine to Kelimvor here as well. Not sure if it's connected.
Could be, I suppose. Could always ask them.
They kind of freak me out, you know, gods of the dead.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you talk to them, they're really into the death to your enemies type of thing.
Well, that I can get on board with, yeah.
Well, sure, death to my enemies as much as the next guy, but when they say it like 6 times in one conversation, it starts to get a little creepy.
They're quite intense.
At a certain point, you start to wonder, like, who are your enemies? You know?
Exactly. Exactly.
Am I your enemy? You're saying a lot to me.
I've got to say, you know, over the years, I've had very few enemies. I'm a peaceful guy, you know.
Oh, certainly. Me too. I agree with you.
Although, of course, our people have a lot of historic enemies, like the humans and the elves.
Wait, the humans are considered a historic enemy of the dwarves? Is that
and other dwarves. Those damn dwarves.
my cousin was listed in the Book of Grudges. I haven't seen him in years. Wait, is it true that humans are considered an ancestral enemy?
No, not really. No, historically, humans and dwarves have gotten along quite well. There have been lots of, you know, conflict between them, but yeah.
But not an eternal rivalry. I just looked up because I was curious. So the Temple of Lathander is the god. I looked at our little chart. The god of dawn and renewal, neutral good, life and light, road traveling into a sunrise. Is what? That's his symbol. Oh yeah, symbol. Okay. Good to know. Anyway, that has nothing to do with this conversation, but I was just looking that up real quick.
Yeah. So other things, also the god of like the morning. You know, the god of like life and things like that.
Very interesting that it's here in the land of darkness, but makes sense that you'd want a god like that here to pray to. I say, well, it was good speaking to you, Mardak. I'll be sure to say hello if I see you more while I'm here. Not sure how long we'll be spending here, but it was good to meet you.
He nods.
And if you're ever in Mirabar, look me up.
I might be heading out that way eventually. A lot safer than the east these days, unfortunately.
Yes. Mirabar is, I would say, one of the most and I think I fully believe this. Admand does. I don't know if Marshall does. Admand fully believes it is one of the most well fortified cities in the Sword Coast. I don't think you could be much safer other than leaving the fucking country for good.
Do you say that to this guy? Do you think it's the most safe place?
I say that. I think Admand thinks it does. It is, because he feels that the walls are strong, that there's layers of defense, there's an undercity to like run back to, there's a well-funded like army basically. Not like a professional army, but yeah, I think he thinks it's safe.
He listens and he nods and then he takes a drink and he says, "They said that about Sundabar."
We all start crying. I say, that is, yes, true, I suppose. Sundabar. Where's Sundabar?
Let's consult
God,
a
there's
map.
so many. There's Adbar, Sundabar, Felbar, Mithril Hall, Mirabar. Where are all these bars? I want to go to the. I want to go to these bars for a drink.
I swear I had a generic map of the Sword Coast for you to have a look at. Where is it? I could show you this one, but it's got a bunch of army movements on it.
You had a map, but you posted, I think, on Discord.
Oh, okay. Well, here. I think this map is fine, even though it has a bunch of armies on it. But this information's
the Troll Kingdom.
Out of date now. Don't worry about the Troll Kingdom.
Don't worry about the Troll Kingdom.
Good.
Oh, the lizard sea elves.
Don't worry about the sea elves or the lizards or the black dragon lair.
I didn't even see the black dragon lair until you told me that. Okay. Mithril Hall.
Oh, Sundabar is currently covered by a dragon and an army, so I'll just move these armies a little bit for you.
Well, that's not good. I guess that's what happened to Sundabar, huh? Felbar is way out here. Adbar, way out here. Now, Adbar is so far on the other side that maybe it somehow got through, is maybe the implication. That
there's
that
also
it's not at the epicenter of the crisis.
Yeah. There's also a really good picture of Sundabar I like to send people, because it shows how ridiculously hard to attack it would be.
The fuck? That got attacked?
Yep.
I mean, I guess by a dragon.
Yes.
Still, other than the dragon, how is anyone gonna get to that fucking thing? I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, if you really wanted to defend it, you just collapse that bridge.
Yep.
Then what are they gonna do? I guess then you'd starve to death, but, you know, desperate time, call for desperate measures.
But they also have an undercity and, connections.
Exactly. Get to the Underdark, some complicated way to get food. Sundabar. They didn't have the will to survive, that's why it fell. I still don't see it. Are you saying it's under that dragon?
You don't see what? Sundabar?
Yeah, is it up here?
No, it's down to...
I see it now. I see it. Sundabar. Okay. And then Silvery Moon was kind of the epicenter of this whole thing, right?
I think it was like the finale. I think the big fights were over Sundabar and Mithril Hall. They were like the core of the war. And then, but Sundabar fell afterwards. After all that happened, Silvery Moon fell afterwards. Silvery Moon was the last. Sort of like when Silvery Moon fell, it was like, well, that's the end of the war. That's the capital of
the last gasp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Adbar might still be around. I mean, it's really far from all of that stuff, and it's I don't know. Who knows? I mean, I think part of what Admand thinks. I mean, he wasn't in the war, but Admand suspects that part of this could have been a lack of preparedness, right? I mean, you have these dwarf holds that probably weren't attacked in generations.
Yep.
And it could be that the crisis developed so quickly and so out of nowhere that like they weren't ready for sieges, they weren't ready for these kinds of things. It wouldn't surprise him if that's the case, and that he hopes that the difference between Mirabar and them is that Mirabar is now on alert and has hopefully engaged in siege preparation and these sorts of things. But who knows? All right. Well, I say to the dwarves of Sundabar and Mithril Hall, and I raise a cup to him.
Yep. He raises his.
May their deeds echo on. And I drink, and at this point, I think I'm gonna go back to my group and see what they make of all this. I share my information with them. The locals are very tense about this situation with Kundrakar, and I'm thinking that he abused them. I'm thinking Durgaden did some fucked up shit to the locals. I don't know. I'm trying to think. It's like, it's a myth. It's like, is it a myth, or do you
just want to forget about him? Yeah.
Do you just want to forget the fact that he, like, I don't know, enslaved some of you or something? Like, what did he do? Why is he so vengeful?
Who would point this out? Probably Istria would say, well, I think Ulrich did mark that one farmstead on the map that would talk to him.
That's true. He did mark that.
Yeah.
What was... Did I write that down? I don't know if I did. But is it marked on the map?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, in that case, how far do I think that is from here? Like,
probably about 2 days.
2 days? Oh, wow. Okay, good to know. I think after having a few drinks, we'll make the most out of that lifestyle. A few drinks. I will also try the aged, see if that's any good.
It's nice, yeah. It's got. Well, I think as you drink it more, you might get a little bit more offended by it because it is clearly a pale imitation of Dwarven Ale. But it's in a vacuum, it's a nice drink, and the aged has a nice smoky flavor to it.
Mm. Oh, interesting. And yeah, I'll do that, and then maybe I'll try right before bed. Try one of those spiced meads and.
Oh, that's delicious. I mean, it's a soft drink for a dwarf, but it is delicious.
Ooh, all right, that's gonna be my sody pop while I'm here. 10 more spice meads. Okay, good to know. And I love talking to the dwarf. I don't want to talk about it. The locals, I bring up Kundrakar. I don't want to talk about that. The dwarf, I bring up the ale. I don't want to talk about that. It brings up too much trauma.
Yep.
All right. I am going to. I think after a good deal of drinking and eating, I make sure everyone gets their fill. Maybe we chat, relax a little bit. I don't think we're going to press any more issues tonight. I think we're going to go to bed because by the time we're done with a few sody pops and a couple of stews, it's probably quite late. And does this place have rooms?
Yes, this is an inn. Yeah.
So part of the lifestyle was getting a room for the night, and we will take advantage of that and sleep well.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good. I guess, so this could be a good place to leave it off, but it depends on what you want to do next, because if there's anyone you wanted to go talk to, that could be done quite quickly. But if you want the week to think about your next steps, then we could leave it here.
I mean, the next thing I was going to do was talk to... I was going to talk to Dara next, because she immediately brought up... She was at least willing to talk to me about Kundrakar a little bit. And then if Dara doesn't provide any information, I'll go to the sergeant. And if the sergeant can't provide any information, I'll go to the mayor. And if the mayor can't provide any information, then we'll prepare to visit that farmstead. Because I don't want to go in completely blind. We had some information from Ulrich, but I want to see what happened. I want to know why they're all so edgy about it. What did the man do to you? And that sort of thing. So I think that's my goal. So I could try to talk to Dara right now if you want.
No, I think you've got a good idea of next steps, and I think we can kick that off next week. So we will leave the session there. All right, cool. Let me grab some XP. Did you have a good time?
Yeah. I really like this town so far. Cool. It's fun. I like a good putty town. Your towns always feel so folksy.
Yeah. That's the goal.
Like an old Western saloon.
Yeah. That's the vibe you aim for. Okay, no main quests yet. Let's see. This was an interesting session. You didn't really get too many encounters. I'm going to give you XP for the ale that you found in the middle of nowhere. And I'm going to boost that XP up a little bit because you followed through on it a lot, and I think there was a lot of RP that resulted from that in the town. You got to Blassingdale. Quite a tricky journey. Handled quite well. Lots of good rolls in there. I think that's worth some XP. And that might be it. I don't know if you have anything else.
That seems fair to me.
Okay. Quite a quieter one then. I think everyone can get 600 XP.
That's plenty. Let's see. That's after the split, or is that before the split?
That's after the split. Everyone gets 600.
After the split. Yeah. Okay.
Or to be more specific, I'm trying something where some sources of XP this campaign are universal. So it was all universal XP today.
Gotcha. And then I don't think anyone leveled up. Let me just double check the XP chart. Character advancement. And no. Yeah, the next one. Yeah, everyone. Oh, wait.
Level 5 is a pretty big one.
Yeah, Billy is 40 XP away from getting to level 3. Or no, level 4. Yeah. Billy is flying.
He'll be all caught up. This is part. I know people are really against different levels within the same party in 5e, and I get why. But the plateaus, you do catch up. I know you do catch up. Like Billy will be the same level as the rest of you, despite having started 3 levels behind.
I actually, I'm not one of those people. I mean, not just in 5e. I think in all systems, and it is a wildly unpopular.
Yeah.
When I've brought it up to players, it's sometimes like a deal breaker type thing. Like, I'm not going to play if that's how it works, and I get it. But the thing I like about it, and the thing I don't like about the reverse, is to me it seems obvious that part of what we're doing with these kinds of D20 systems. You're not doing this in all systems, but in these sorts of D20, D&D-esque systems, whether it's this or Pathfinder or even like OSR games, whatever, anything that's in that kind of general broad tradition of sword and sorcery, we're leveling up, we're getting stronger, right?
We're finding loot. That's another big part of that. We're finding
loot.
Yeah.
To me, you had to go through all these travails, especially if it's like a deadly game. You had to go through all these travails and struggles to get to, let's say, level 10. If you get to level 10, wow, that's such an achievement. In a game like Dungeon Crawl Classics, getting to level 5 might be something that you tell your children about, right? Genuinely, and like if you have children, and I think that there is. And
if not, you'll tell your friends' children whether they want to hear it or not.
Come here, boy. I will tell you. I'll tell you the tale. And I think that if that character dies, and your next character immediately comes in at that same level. Sure, you as the player did all that work, and I get why players want to feel like I did the work to get here. I want my new character to be at the same level. But there's a sense in which that character is just giving, like, they're just coming out of the ground, out of a hole in the ground, and I'm a 10th level character. I'm very rare. There's only like a handful of me in the whole world, and I happen to just be here at the right. And the higher level you get,
and you
weirder that gets.
And I completely agree with what you said. And I also think, like, the amount of play you did in that first character to get to level 10, that character was probably lived in. You know, you had so many layers of things that you've enjoyed doing throughout the years. When you bring the next character in, they don't have that. So it's always, if I start a high level second character, it just feels, at least at the start, always just way less fulfilling to me than the other character. Like, it almost undermines it's always a bit like, oh, we know this is a replacement character. We know this is a backup character. And
in systems like 5e and 2e, especially, that is Pathfinder 2e.
I get that. Yeah, it's good.
They're complicated enough that starting at a high level with a brand new character is sometimes overwhelming.
Can be confusing,
even for experienced players. Like I remember we did that dungeon who ran it? Charles or someone ran that high level 17 dungeon, and I played a level 17 wizard. I was like, I don't even fucking know half of my own spells, because like that's so much shit that I haven't
There's so
even
many
used.
spells. Yeah.
I haven't even used them yet, and I have to know all of these things I can do. It's much easier to do that if you've been slowly learning them over the course of a whole campaign. At that point, it's like, oh, I have my first and second level spells memorized. I just know what they are off hat. I don't even need to look.
I remember using them 5 times. I remember all the situations that they've been useful for.
Yeah. And so I think that is also overwhelming. That's not as big of an issue, but it is a real issue. Especially the higher level it gets, the worse that problem becomes. It becomes an extreme problem at something like level 17, where you've got so many abilities and so many spells and so many and items, and you're just like, I don't even, what the fuck? This all just came out of thin air. I don't know. And then there also is the fact that I don't think players recognize how fun it can be to have a character arc that is about being like a younger brother or sister, right? Someone who is inexperienced and is learning. I think that's really fun to roleplay. It's something like we've done that in the Star Wars campaign. That is a lot of fun to roleplay, a mentor teacher relationship, and you get to do that to some degree if you have a lower level character starting in a higher level party.
Another story archetype I think works well for that is like a lower powered character. So like if you're in a group of heroes and you're just a regular guy, but that's still really fun, right? Like there's lots of like media franchises where you've got like a party of a bunch of heroes and then just a guy who's thrust into this situation who's really good at a specific thing, right? Like that kind of thing. And I think that's really enjoyable. Like if you've got this party of like demon slayers, and then there's just this level like 4 navigator who's really good at navigating, and he holds his own, that sort of thing.
Something I've extended as a kind of olive branch to people in these situations is like I would come up with rules where they would level up at a faster rate. They would get like learning XP from being trained by their allies.
Oh, that's cool.
But often even that was like players very, very viscerally most players are very viscerally against this, and at a certain point I was like, well, if it's a deal breaker, it's a deal breaker. But it is something that I've always thought is, if it's executed well, and if the DM or GM keeps it in mind that there's like a level 2 character in a level 7 party and isn't out of their way trying to
murder that guy,
gank this second level character, right? I think that it can be done really fun, and I think it can be a cool thing. But yeah, it's I don't know. But not everything's for everyone. Not everyone likes every hardcore rule. Even I don't love every hardcore rule just because it makes the game harder. That is one that I specifically like because of the kind of fantasy it creates, the kind of stories it generates.
There's even for me, I feel like I'm known amongst people for being pretty hardcore with 5e sometimes, and even I come across stuff sometimes I'm like, that just doesn't seem fun. I think one of the frequent ones, I don't know why this keeps happening, is people are there are a lot of people that do like death saves don't reset when you stabilize. I think a lot of people like that, and I'm like, I think there's a misconception that 5e is like not deadly, but I actually think 5e is pretty deadly. Like, I think it's a pretty deadly system already, and if you start making like no death saves or death saves don't reset upon stabilization, that just, I mean, characters are going to die all the time.
Yeah, is the idea that they never reset?
I think they reset on like a short rest or a long rest, something like that. Yeah, because I think people don't like the idea of getting up and then being completely fine and then, you know, bouncing back up and down from 0 and 1 HP, which I think is a gameplay loop that happens in 5e a lot.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to have a rule like that, the system needs to be... That's the kind of rule that the whole system needs to be balanced around. Because that kind of rule, any rule that jangles with the actual combat balance in every encounter, that is going to affect the way all combat rolls. Whereas like a lot of the rules you use that are like more hardcore, they mess with the resource management more than they do with the actual per combat balance.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind. It can change the balance of a single combat if you have less resources, but in theory, as long as the players are managing their resources, it doesn't make the game way more lethal. Whereas something like that, yeah, if the game's not balanced around it, then yeah, monsters could slaughter you.
Yep.
For sure. I think a much simpler solution to something like that. I think probably the frustration to that comes from spells like Word of... What is it?
Healing Word.
Healing Word. I think people are... Like, I've been annoyed as a GM by the Healing Word, just like, you're up, no problem. But I think that that's an extreme, maybe, way to alter that.
Yeah. I make my combats fairly hard, to the point where I often say to players, like, for the most part, like, you need all the help you can get. I never really mind that sort of thing. Like, it's often the same with those old... You've talked about how you don't like them, but the power, like the sharpshooter, great weapon master feats that are considered very, very strong. I don't
necessarily dislike them for players to use.
Yeah, it's just, you dislike using it. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I think your problem isn't even that they're weak. It's more that they're like your problem isn't that they're strong. Arguably, it's because you're not weak, but you don't like the minus. You don't enjoy the minus.
Yeah, the value proposition for me is always a bit scary, especially in a game where missing can kill you. So I try to hit every round if I can, and I get the idea is, well, when you do hit, you're going to do a lot more damage, but you know.
But even though they're generally considered quite strong, I've never considered banning them, because I enjoy having powerful PCs that I can throw powerful combats at, generally speaking. There are some parts of Sharpshooter I don't like, but it's not the damage buff. It's the cover doesn't impose any penalties, and you can shoot up to a mile without penalties. That's the part of Sharpshooter that's annoying to deal with.
Yeah, that is pretty brutal. All right. Well, I think we won't be. I won't have any level ups for a little bit. 6,500 is the big gap, and the closest one to that is Admand is 900 away, which is not far. That's not far.
No. Whoa, 900. That is very close.
We're clearing hurdles pretty quickly.
Okay.
That means we will likely reach it. I don't know. Definitely before I think before we get back to Mirabar.
For sure. Yeah. I guess
right.
you have to find the time for the long rest is going to be the hurdle, I think. All right. Are we good for next week?
Next week is I think so. The 28th. We should be good.
Cool. All right. Thank you all for watching. I hope you've all enjoyed, and we will see you guys next week. Peace out.